Something you wanted, and there's no doubt you might be wrong. Walked away from something you left behind. Another borderline. Try not to notice. I try not to go, but I keep on moving now. I think I'm better off alone. Over the borderline. Try not to know too much. Try not to know less. I try not to go, but I keep on moving on. I think I'm better off alone. Over the borderline. Something you wanted, and there's no doubt. borderline.
Welcome back to the Rainbow Six Pro League. It is time for our penultimate Playday here for Australia and New Zealand. We have seen some incredible matches yesterday, kicking it off. A very close contest right at the top of the standings between some of the best that ANZ has to offer. But right now, today, we have some more matches for you for an absolute scrap at the bottom. I'm Dev, and Guz, we're back. It's day number 2. This is the second last day of Season 10.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Exciting stuff, and it's going to be interesting to see who's going to go to Challenger League next season.
That's exactly right. We do have just a few teams left. The match that we're going to be talking about today is SINISTER versus Fury. Do you want to get involved? You want to see who's going to win? You tell us, all right? Go to Twitter. Twitter, ESL Rainbow 6. That's where you can vote. Who do you think's going to win? SINISTER, Fury, maybe a draw. We've already had a lot of draws yesterday. Definitely on the cards again. We bring up those polls before every match anyway, so if you think you're going to get it right, then you get a bit of bragging rights there. And we've been not so correct so far, actually, on our predictions.
No, particularly last night. Not our finest form, but hopefully we can back it up tonight.
Let's talk about now how the Pro League is shaped up so far with the ladder. We have 7 teams in the Pro League. Let's take a look at the standings. Fnatic is currently sitting on top, despite only drawing their matches yesterday against Wildcard. Wildcard, often known as the second best team in ANZ, they've dropped now to 4th.
Yeah, definitely a big shake-up at the top of the standings there. Last night definitely creating some permutations up at the top, but our focus for this evening, of course, will be at the bottom. SINISTER and Fury battling it out. Of course, 7th place will be going to Challenger League for the next season, so they'll be vying to jump out of that position.
That's right. And you can see the matches line there. Both SINISTER and Fury have actually played the least matches in the season, so maybe it doesn't quite give them credit that they are at the bottom of the standings. But after their match tonight, they'll also have another match tomorrow. Both of them have difficult opponents, Fnatic for SINISTER and Oddity for Fury. So I think they really have to step it up here in these matches today. Before we move on more to talk about SINISTER and Fury, shaking up the top of the standings, right? Oddity, this whole season, we've been surprised that they were actually at the top of the standings, started yesterday. But Mindfreak had now slipped into 2nd as well.
Yeah, Mindfreak seemingly coming out of nowhere, really. Of course, they do have that 2-match advantage, so there is potential for them to be bumped out, but there is a very slim chance they could qualify, albeit very small.
Very, very small. We'd have to see Oddity and Wildcard both lose all of their games tomorrow. But it is a dogfight at the top of the standings, as it is at the bottom. We have teams fighting out for relegation. The 7th place in the Pro League, that is the last place, will have to go and play in the ANZ Challenger League and fight for their spot back in the Pro League for Season 11, which is going to start later. Season 10, man, we have had a long road, and it all comes down to here, really. SINISTER and Fury, these teams have both been in the Pro League for a few seasons, and we don't really expect that they're going to be the ones to leave, or at least maybe we wouldn't have at the start of the season. Yeah,
2 very established teams in the scene. Yeah, like you said, we wouldn't really expect them to be in such a vulnerable position at this stage in the season, but that's where they are. That's what they have to work with, and they'll be putting every effort into tonight because this is their best opportunity to try and secure some points to bump them out of that position.
Yeah, and it's a rematch of the Six Masters on land to boot. Let's talk about our first team for tonight, Team SINISTER. They've had a tumultuous challenge so far in the Pro League.
Yeah, a team that has gained some notoriety in this season, of course, being picked up by an organisation. Whether or not they've lived up to the org's expectations, to their expectations, a little bit hard to judge at the moment. Of course, they are in that second last position, but they have a real opportunity now to perform under pressure. We know that can be a bit of an Achilles heel for them. So if they can bounce back from that, get out of that relegation position, they'll be in a great position for the next season.
And they did only get their first victory in the Pro League just last week against Cryptic as well. They've been really dragging their feet so far, and coming up against Fury, who is the next team at the bottom of the Pro League, that's really, I think, where they need to make their mark. Last thing I think we should touch on is the roster change. Mist coming in. Not a player that we have seen very much of, and Fisho guy not being there, I think that's just a substitute situation.
Yeah, time will tell how that plays out this evening. Mist, well, he'll have to step up because there is a lot of pressure on the rest of the team. Yeah.
These are definitely important games, but Sinister's opponent for tonight is Fury, a team which has quite a bit of LAN experience now, but still have had a really rough season.
Yeah, Fury, a team known for their fun. They always go into every event wanting to have the best time. They come out with some crazy plays on occasion. But the thing to note, Flex coming into the roster, of course, Spruce has departed from the team. Muesli as well has been added onto the roster from Power Plays, but because they disbanded this season, he is ineligible. So we'll see Flex in there this evening.
That's right. We're seeing both teams here tonight have fairly significant roster changes. Spruce on Fury. He was quite a supportive player on that team, and I mean, quite a character in the interviews. So that'll be a shame to see him go. But Sinister as well, they lost Fisho guys. So it does seem like both of these teams have taken a blow going into this match. Yeah,
and I guess that will be a contest of who can really recover from that, because any roster change is going to have significant impacts on any team, no matter how small or how big that player was.
Yeah, I remember Copper from Sinister last week telling us that Fisho guy was just unavailable for this week of Pro League, which is a real shame because he has been an instrumental player for that team, one of their star fraggers, and also one of the longest running players as well. How do we feel? Like, we know how good these teams are overall. We've seen good things from both of them in the past, but right now, are they in their best form?
That's a really hard question to answer. I think that would probably be a good question to answer at the end of today.
All right.
Because I think it's really going to be who performs under pressure. I don't think form is going to have the biggest impact going into this match. They are so close on the standings regardless. So it's going to really come down to who can perform while under the pump.
All right, well, let's see where we'll be playing. Let's bring up the map veto. We play 2 best of 1s here. How it works is we auto-ban 2 maps based on what the teams played last week, and then each team takes turn banning maps, so we have 1 left. We start that entire veto after this map before we go into the second one. These teams, it's actually a rematch of Six Masters, as we said, and there they played Consulate and Bank, so both of those still on the table.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point to make. I would have to feel like Sinister probably wouldn't want to take them to either of those maps, being unsuccessful 6-8 on both occasions. So maybe we'll see a different map on the cards, I'm not sure.
Let's roll on through. Still Consulate and Bank are on the cards. Villa and Border taken out. I was going to say good maps overall for Sinister. It looked, from my research, it looked like Clubhouse was one to go to. But of course that's banned. Cafe was a decent one at some points for Fury as well. So really it is coming down to, we have a very high chance of seeing either Consulate or Bank, which it will be a rematch map. But no, they're actually the next ones to get banned out. Mark my words. Coastline is where we'll end up.
Yeah, so Coastline, a map that they obviously didn't play in their most recent matchup. So be interesting to see what form they have going into this, how much they've scrimmed it, how much they've practiced it.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at some of my recent results of these teams, I don't see a lot of Sinister having played much Coastline recently, but they're actually one of their best performances this entire season was on Coastline. They managed to get a draw against Wildcard. So if they can really take a fight to some of the top teams on Coastline, I think Sinister have definitely got something going for them. Fury in their recent results, they played Fnatic at Six Masters on this map and got destroyed 7-2.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I'm starting to lean Sinister's way here.
Yeah, Sinister, they look good going into this, but we know that at the R6 Masters they struggled because of the pressure, the stage, everything like that. And although this obviously isn't on land, they're still going to be sitting at home. They're going to be stressed. They're going to be worried. They don't want to drop down. Yeah,
I feel like Sinister is a team where at their best, we have seen them do some incredible things. They defeated Oddity in the Six Masters group stage 2-0. Even when Oddity had their full lineup, Sinister demolished them. We've seen them so good in some occasions, but at the same time, we've seen them absolutely fall, and it's not because of their opponent, it's because of themselves.
Yeah, their form definitely fluctuates quite a bit. Whether or not it'll be on a down today, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, they can salvage something.
We're still leaning towards Sinister here, but what do you guys reckon? Let's bring up that poll vote we mentioned earlier. Fury, okay, it's actually Sinister's way, so it seems like the community agrees with us.
Yeah, a lot of people out there must be Sinister fans. Fury, a little bit unlucky to not get too much of the vote. The draw very high as well tonight. We saw a lot of draws last night, so maybe some people are thinking we could see the same thing.
Yeah, true, for sure. I mean, looking at this, we often talk about how this is a bit of a popularity vote, which I think is fair. Team Sinister do have that organization from North America that has had rosters in Rainbow Six Siege for quite some time out of North America, not in the Pro League, but in other leagues, whereas Fury doesn't quite have that with them. But I think Fury have definitely earned a fan base, especially locally here in Australia, because of their banter, because of their sense of fun. That is something so iconically Australian, I think, about Fury.
Yeah, that's the great thing about our region. We're so closely knit, and everyone likes to have a laugh, and Fury, they're basically at the head of that.
Yeah, I seem to remember Spruce, his first interview ever here on the main channel, and he let a swear word slip in the first couple seconds. I mean, come on, mate. Maybe that was why they kicked him.
Oh, maybe.
It's all jokes, it's all fun and games here, but not for these teams. They're fighting over that 6th place to get out of that relegation spot. Neither of them want to return to the Challenger League, and both of them will face off here on Coastline.
Coastline will be the first map we will be heading into, straight into the ban phase here. And Fury, very decisive with their first offensive ban. We will see Capitao off the board, a trend that is continuing on quite a bit from last evening. Capitao, so powerful in the current meta.
Yeah, it's not something that they banned last time they played this map, or not something they banned most of the times they play this map. They've been really getting rid of Jackal every time they played Coastline. So departure from that, but you know, Capitao, such a powerful operator in the ANZ meta. He's just been banned consistently ever since his area of effect rework. But fortunately for Fury, I guess, Sinister's going to get rid of that Jackal anyway.
Yeah, that's going to allow for a little bit more roamability around the map. Coastline can be so challenging to rotate around at times if teams set up crossfires, and of course Jackal makes it even more difficult. So I'm assuming we're going to see some good aggression here from Sinister on that defense.
I feel like we've already seen a showcase of how good Jackal can be at clearing roamers. Fnatic yesterday against Wildcard, they made such good use of that gadget. Now onto the defender bans, it is Sinister who gets rid of the Valkyrie, an operator that we've seen players on both of these teams use to great effect, but one that's particularly useful on Coastline as a map where you can play so aggressively on the defense. And it's 2 information gatherers for the defense eliminated Valkyrie and Echo.
Yeah, that will still leave Maestro and even Mirror to some extent on the board. We have seen a couple of Mirror strats on this map. Fnatic last night bringing out some ones we have never seen before. Maybe we will see something similar tonight, I'm not sure. But we will be heading to Blue Bar first, and Fury will be on the defense.
Something that we talked a little bit about in our match yesterday between Wildcard and Fnatic was how little IQ was getting played, which is quite strange because IQ is absolutely an operator that has come into the meta, really good at countering a wide variety of operators on the attack. But as soon as you see something, on the defense, as soon as you see something like a Valkyrie and an Echo ban, it makes you suddenly think, okay, maybe we don't need to play that IQ. And it almost frees up your roster for a bit of a leisure pick. And in this case, we're seeing 2 flank watch operators deployed with the Gridlock and the Nomad. Imagine if Sinister really felt the need to run that IQ as well. They would not be able to afford this much alternate utility.
Well, yeah, we obviously Sinister have banned Jackal, so instead of opting for that sort of defensive offense in terms of having those roamers stay away from them by forcing the way, of course they're using instead the Nomad and the Gridlock, so an alternate strategy there. But as you mentioned, they still do have sort of that maneuverability to jump onto IQ if required. Based off Fury's current lineup though, you could say that it might not be necessary. I guess Shade on the Legion could cause some issues later.
Yeah, there are quite a few players on Fury who are well known as individual players to step up, and Shade's one of them. I believe he's also one of the IGLs for Fury. Every time I talk to them, they say that they have quite a loose setup in their shot calling, but Shade is always at the one of the mainstays of that. And he's also a player that we see really step up. It's common that we'll see him on something like a Valkyrie, so I think he's maybe adapted here. With the Valkyrie being banned, he's forced to play the Legion instead, and he can get a lot of information gathered downstairs using those goo mines, protect himself for as long as possible.
Does look like Sinister now will be pushing from above, opting to push from this VIP side of the map. Copper leading the charge on the Habana. They will have to deal with Flex here, playing the top of the Cool Vibe stairs. An interesting position from the Smoke player, using the shield to full advantage. He has 3 gas grenades in his pocket that he can utilize later in the round. It does appear like Fury are taking a very open approach to this defense. They are aware that Sinister are trying to take from above and trying to find a way to counter that rock. That's a very nice angle. Yeah,
there are quite a few cheeky little tricks being employed by Fury here. I'm sure that Rock has some information being gathered by his team, but he misses the crucial C4. And he doesn't realize, but if he had thrown it just then, he could have sealed the deal and taken out that Nomad. I wonder if it was a hacked drone that he was trying to get information off of from one of his teammates. But no, he does end up missing that opportunity.
Talking about missed opportunities, Flex there missing a couple shots onto the drone. That's unfortunate. His position will be revealed halfway through the round, but he's holding that position quite strongly as Warden set up on the crossfire as well. So I like this approach from Fury, trying to hold the hookah bar. Flex has now expended all his gas grenades though, and there's still a minute for SINISTER to push towards the site.
Warden, a very experienced Pro League player, and he does move back onto the objective, as you said, Sunrise Bar. We also saw, yeah, it's actually a full default from Fury back downstairs. Flex, who was playing that aggressive position, as you said, used up all of his gas grenade utility. This isn't too bad timing from SINISTER. They've taken the top floor, but something that we saw yesterday in the Wildcard Fnatic game was just how much it really makes an impact when the late round comes in and all of the defenders are still alive. That's something that could certainly work for Fury right now.
Vicious has been dropping while on the Cool Vibe stairs. It looks like Flex may have taken him out there with the shotgun. They're trying to cover his position and go for the res, but Flex wants to try and secure that kill. He gets aggressive, but not aggressive enough. Fortunately, though, he wasn't taken out. He must have heard the res there and he's peeked again, but he will be unsuccessful.
Ooh.
SINISTER manages to pick him up. Flex, though, in a very compromised position. Surely SINISTER can take him out, but they don't know exactly where he is. Meanwhile, Rock gets Nico, Copper onto Warden, and there's a couple kills going out. It's 2 versus 4, just like that. SINISTER throwing this round away. It's Vicious and Mist left with it all to do. Make that just missed. The analyst of SINISTER is unable to complete the job, and Fury will take round number 1.
A good hold to keep control of that objective late round. As SINISTER ran out of time, they had to start pushing in. So Fury, really it was just about keeping their wits about them, holding fast, holding the angles, and as SINISTER attempted to push on through, Fury were absolutely ready for that. And it was, I do feel a little bit like, it was like what I was highlighting earlier in that round. Fury kept all 5 alive, going it right into the end. So SINISTER, even if they can make some entries, get 1 kill, get 2 kills, that's not the full deal there. That's not everything that they need. Fury will still have players that can hold fast and refrag.
Yeah, although SINISTER looked like they were progressing well onto the site, they had the verticality going in hookah and in billiards. Instead of getting overly aggressive and peaking those angles, Fury instead opted, as you said, to just play passive, play on the site, and that forced SINISTER into mistakes. SINISTER probably quite stressed in the later stages of that round. They had to try and get something going. They had to try and force their way in towards the site, and they were unsuccessful.
And I will point out again, this is Flex's first Pro League experience. He previously played for a team called Extricity, who's a very well-known team in the ANZ region. For a long time, they were known as the best under-18 team. Under-18s not being allowed to participate in the Pro League, but they are allowed to participate in the Six Masters, which is our national tournament. So Flex does have experience playing for Extricity in that. And I think graduating up to a Pro League team, it does seem like a natural progression for a lot of these players, but this is really the first opportunity that he's had to play on a stage. I mean, not a physical stage, but on, you know, on the world stage here, on a big channel with a lot of people watching him. And no doubt that kind of pressure does get to you. So I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye out on Flex, this Smoke player, because he really has to do his job. Smoke is such an integral operator. Just because he's playing something supportive, it doesn't mean he's allowed to just go through this game without finding any frags, without making an impact.
Yeah, the amount of pressure that must be on him. Not only is he making his Pro League debut here for Fury, but he's also come in arguably their most important game of the season. If they don't win this and take maximum points, they're at serious risk of being relegated. So he really needs to step up here, and he just needs to relax, do what he's been recruited for. Obviously, Fury have picked him up for a reason. He just needs to do that job and do it well.
That's exactly right. Now it's a hookah defense for Fury. And in a lot of ways, it's very similar to their bar hold. Keep control of this top floor in hookah and pool. No actual presence in aquarium at the moment, though, and SINISTER's going to capitalize on that, moving very quickly. They'll also use Hibana to open up holes onto these east-facing walls of Cocktail, flushing out those positions at the Cocktail bar. Nice job there from SINISTER. However, Fury played smart. They didn't try to contest those holes. They moved back. However, they're losing a lot of ground, and that can severely affect them.
SINISTER just preparing here, trying to find some intel. They need to work out where these members of Fury are, as Luna now will push up through Aquarium, starting to get a little bit aggressive here in towards Billiards, but instead opts to back out as Copper now sets up the crossfire. It looks like Sinister are trying to force Fury into corners where they can't recover, but it seems like they'll play pretty well in avoiding those areas. Rock compromised, but there we go. Copper will get flexed. Rock, meanwhile, got missed. So it's a 4 versus 4, and Sinister now preparing for the plant. They will smoke out the rotate between sites. That's going to allow Nico to entry on top of Billiards. He gets lit up though. He needs to try and go for the plant. Warden could potentially cover it, but they're going to push all the way through here. Vicious gets a double, and it's a 3 versus 2. Warden and Shade left with it all to do as Nico tries to steal the plant. He will be successful, and now the retake is on. Shade makes his way up Cool Vibes and gets one. He can't get the second though, and Warden now is going to have to clean up. He does have full HP, and he has the ACOG, but a fantastic refrag there from Nico will secure the round for Sinister.
And I'm really liking what we're seeing from Sinister so far. Nico with the hipfire. Come on, mate. This is a very different looking Sinister to what we've seen in the past, even recently at the Six Masters. For a long time, Sinister, the thing that I was always critical of them, of their roster, was some of the ways that they had their attacks, they had their defenses. It really relied on putting Copper on a kind of diamond pedestal and bowing down to him and saying, can you go and frag out, please? And they did it on defense. He would be a solo roamer off somewhere without any support from the teammate, expected to hold an unwinnable situation. And as soon as Sinister were playing against these top-level teams, they would fall apart, because it doesn't matter how good an individual player is when it's a 1 versus an entire attacking team or an entire defending team really focusing in on that player. Sinister will absolutely get picked apart, and we're not seeing that anymore. We're seeing Copper take a lot more of a supportive role, not a full supportive role. He's still playing an Operator Hibana where he can frag out, where he is in positions to use his weaponry and take fights, make big plays. But I really just like overall, Sinister, it definitely looks like their playstyle as a team has really matured and improved. And yes, it was a rocky start attacking Bar, but I'm seeing a lot of promise so far for Sinister, and I think that's only going to continue into the future.
Yeah. Not only is it looking cohesive, but it's also looking very positive. Instead of just going for the passive default plant in that previous round, instead they opted, let's just full send it into the site. Let's show some aggression. Let's put Fury on the back foot. If they had have gone for the default plant, Fury likely would have actually been able to deny it.
Well, Shade had a player below, exactly.
Yeah. Instead, they just rushed all the way through, and that caused some confusion on the side of Fury. They were flustered. Sinister, they were able to capitalize on that. So whilst they can't rely on individual performances, as you said, they do need some of these fraggers to step up if they are going to go for aggressive plays like that.
Now it's a defensive kitchen for Fury. Monkey Fist, one of our other casters, Fury, he would always tell me, he would say, Fury is a team full of star players, but for some reason, the team always seems to be less than the sum of its parts. And it's uncommon. It is very much uncommon. Usually when you have a dream team put together of great individual players, they perform really well, but Fury, for some reason, haven't had that. Are these roster changes that they're making, their long-term vision for the team, is that something that's going to finally make a difference?
We'll have to wait and see. Sinister able to clear out that 90 position behind the shield using a nice angle from the VIP window. Nico gets flexed, and it's now a 5 versus 4, almost halfway through the round, and Sinister able to get that early pick off the board. I think that's going to be critical for them to be able to secure this round, as it looks like Fury have now defaulted back towards the site. And on Kitchen, they're going to have to be very mindful of all the verticality now that Sinister will be able to open up. They don't have the breast in soft breach, but if they can get pings and shoot through the floor, that should be enough to seal the deal. Copper gets rocked, so it's a 5 versus 3 now, and things not looking great for Fury in this round. Sinister appearing to start setting up for a plant. Warden is such a powerful position now with the Older and the ACOG, but that verticality is going to flush him out of that position.
Really good clear from Sinister, but they still need to land this shot. They do. That's Copper to finish off. Warden, great job. Hard breach plus soft breach with the breaching charges on Hibana. Now Fury, they have these players outside of sight, but Shade's going to get caught off guard for sure. No, missed. Doesn't play aggressively on that angle, but he does find Golden. Gonna get aggressed upon by Shade, but he's the last one remaining. This will have to be an ace clutch. 35 seconds to play with for the attackers. There's a lot to do. Does he have the C4? Is it gonna work? Surely he can get one. No, the plant goes down. He can take out Luna, but it's now a post-plant scenario. SMG-11 shotgun isn't exactly what you want in this scenario. The Nomad charge will put him flat on his back, and Sinister take another round.
Yeah, Sinister getting a couple of early picks. They're really aiding them in allowing that progression towards the site. They didn't seem as stagnated as they have in previous rounds. A little bit of pressure taken off their back, and Fury instead were the ones on the back foot. They seemed like they wanted to play super passive on the site, but Sinister just didn't let them do that. They were relentless with the verticality, and then they went for the plant straight away. The C4 denial almost there, but it was too little too late.
At this level of play, we very rarely see kitchen holds where the defenders can have a lot of players hold on site and just wait, because the nature of these attacks is that you will open up that floor. You will find these picks through the floor, and Fury, they're not going to win all those gunfights through the floor. In fact, they're unfavored to win those. When we saw how Wildcard defended on Coastline yesterday when they were defending this site, they actually only had Diesel, their smoke player, on the objective. All of the other players were off objective, whether that was roaming upstairs to prevent that vertical play, whether it was roaming downstairs in areas like kitchen, inside of servers. There were so many there options that the defense can implement into these defenses, and I think that Fury going for that kitchen strategy with relying too much on those players on-site, I think that was really their downfall. But now they will go back to Hookah, which was a bomb site that they previously lost to Sinister from that Aquarium push.
Fury will need to try and adjust to that. Whether or not we'll see Sinister go for a similar push, we'll have to wait and see. I'm expecting them to maybe throw something a little bit different out there. Fury, one of those teams that can adapt quite well if they can start to pick up on what Sinister do. And I feel like I get the impression sometimes that Sinister aren't the most adaptable of teams. They usually just go with one strat if it works. And of course, they were successful in the previous round, but they'll have to be mindful of that, because if Fury are able to now counter that, the scoreline will be tied.
And Fury are already making these minor adaptations. They've gotten Shade off of the Legion onto the Mozzie, which was previously occupied by Rock, and that frees up Rock to then play the Bandit. As a Bandit, he can put Bandit batteries on these Hookah walls and some of the other walls, even Bandit tricking the east-facing wall, which is where he is right now. He's in Cocktail, so he can Bandit that wall, which allows Fury to play in there, prevents Sinister from Hibanaing open walls onto Cocktail. So I really like this adaptation straight away out of Fury. It only took them one round to find something different.
Looks like Rock there on the Bandit, using that to help hold his position a little bit. We did see Hibana can open that crossfire. Talking about Hibana though, Copper will be able to drop Shade as Nico enters towards the side alongside Mist. It's a 4 versus 2, just like that. Make that a 3 versus 2 as Warden gets one on the board. He gets a second onto Nico, and it's a 2 versus 2. He will be traded out, and Golden now has to flank up Cool Vibe stairs. He misses the initial shots there onto Luna, but manages to down her in the end, and now it's a 1 versus 1. Copper needs to try and get this plant down. It's probably too late now. He has many Evil Eyes holding his position as well, and Golden should be in a favourable position. Intel is on his side. The pings are going out. He could even deny the plant from below here as Copper tries to go for it. It'll be next to the hatch, so it's going to be hard to shoot him, and instead he's going to try and sneak up the stairs here. Copper falls off the plant though, so he might have been able to stick it in the end. He's going to go for it once again. Golden going to be able to hear that plant quite easily through the wall now as he starts to push up. He gets a fantastic headshot there onto Copper, and Fury will even out the scoreline.
I really like those adaptations from Fury. It wasn't much, and conversely, I also like what Sinister did to overcome them. They played really aggressively. They realized that Fury didn't have all their players on site, and they pushed very quickly all at once into Hookah, 2 players, and into Pool from Aquarium, another 2 players, with one coming up blue stairs. Sinister managed to completely get control of site, but the problem is they lost a lot of players in the meanwhile. They ended up in a 2 versus 1 though, and I thought that that was a really good opportunity, but Luna, she felt like she had to keep pressuring that Jaeger on the stairs, and unfortunately that was her downfall, because her losing that fight, which she was unfavored to win really, trying to go a pistol against a 416 Jaeger, that meant it was a 1v1. And in a 1v1, as you mentioned, there was so much information on the pool table bomb site with those Evil Eyes, it would have been very difficult for Copper to clutch that.
Yeah, I feel like in hindsight, Luna will probably be a little bit upset at how she played that. She probably could have played a little bit passive and tried to force the Jaeger up the stairs. And had that crossfire, Copper could have just gone for default plant, because it would have been so challenging for Golden to go back down the stairs and get it without Luna being able to hear that anyway. So, slight misplay there from Sinister. Fury able to capitalize. Of course, the scoreline is tied now, so This is looking like it's going to be a really close game.
I hope so. I feel like that's what we deserve after yesterday's. We had a really close game, and then we were met with, well, Mind Freak. They had a really good game against Cryptic. Let's just put it that way. Now, Sinister Fury. These are the two bottom teams in the Pro League right now, 6th and 7th place. Alongside, well, Cryptic is the next in line. If both of these teams actually trade maps, Sinister wins one, Fury wins one, we're going to have a 3-way tie at the bottom of the standings. And we've been talking so much about how the top of the ANZ Pro League is so stacked with this 3-way contest, but the bottom of the Pro League is very much the same. And then Mind Freak sitting in the middle. Yeah, Mind Freak is definitely above teams like Sinister and Fury, but definitely below teams like Fnatic.
Well, according to the standings, they're not. They are currently sitting in second.
That is true.
Very slim chance they could qualify, Dev.
That is true. Look, I don't want to count Mind Freak out yet. If Oddity and August both have really poor performances tomorrow, then who knows what can happen. We could see Mind Freak go to LAN.
Sinister, meanwhile, starting to progress. 3-bedroom and above the site. We saw a pretty similar take from them previously. Lunu holding the stairs here. Shade at the bottom. He'll be very, very brave to peek that, instead opting to fall back towards the site. As we see, once again, Flex in this interesting position behind the vase, watching over Hooker. He has Warden as well for company, as Copper tries to counter this position, but he's by himself, so that could be very interesting. Warden forced back down, so Fury more than happy to just default back down to the site.
Fury did so well on this bar defense last time. Sinister took just too long to clear out these roams. It took them 2 minutes, and by the time they did take control of this top floor, Fury hadn't lost a single player. It looks like they're going for the exact same mentality. Flex going to keep on falling back. He's that new player on the team. Goes all the way down, but Copper does find the entry that he's looking for. It's Shade who goes down this time around. He's taken control of the top east side now, is Sinister, as they start to make an approach.
Yeah, Sinister now beginning to establish control above the objective here. They need to try and get some verticality going, push Fury out of those common positions, and then prevent them, most importantly, from being able to rotate back to the site. A couple of members now will begin to push in towards the B bomb site. Copper leading the charge, and once again, it looks like Sinister's attack just been stunted a little bit. Copper, without the intel, unable to get the shot there onto Flex. He's able to fall back once again. So Flex is just running around the map, causing so many issues. He gets a shot through the double window at Billiards. Unable to get the kill, though. He goes for the double pick and manages to down Nico. The diffuser has been dropped now. It's in such a vulnerable position, but Vicious is able to get Flex as he tries to run away, and Nico's still alive despite the gas grenade. Copper down as well, but Mist is going off. He gets a double, and Rock now in a 1 versus 5, just like that. But he is holding the window. If they try and jump in, he gets one. He gets a second. Can he get the third? Not quite. He just misses the shots there. Vicious goes to the plant, and the coverage should be there from Luna. This time, hopefully, she'll play a little bit more passive, but the shot through the little barricade there will drop her. The self-res could potentially get herself up, and she does. That was looking so close for Rock now, but things not looking great.
Still, Luna is only 1 shot. Her position spotted out on one of the Evil Eyes as well. And she gets finished off by the Legion Mine. This is so good for Rock. Could be a 1 versus 4 clutch. Essentially a 1 versus 5 here as Copper was down to Vicious. This is where the pressure starts to mount. C4 doesn't work out, and the Nomad charge pushes Rock back, but he knows he has time. More pre-fires through the wall, but surely Vicious can win this. Rock only has 10 rounds left. He has no information on where Vicious is. He'll just go for the wait, and it doesn't work out. Vicious, thank goodness you saved that one, because Sinister, my goodness, you would have been terrified.
If Sinister lost that round, that would have been classic Sinister.
So
falling
classic.
under pressure. A 5 versus 1 scenario, and they almost lost it.
2 people died to Legion Mines in that round.
Bring the IQ.
2 people died to Legion Mines, and one of them died to this monstrosity. Easiest double kill of his life, Rock saying. But unfortunately, he couldn't make that clutch work. It was very close. And those Legion Mines, man, Shade had such an impact there. He's got 2 kills just from the Goo Mines themselves.
Wow. I need a breather after that
Yeah.
little play there. That was so close. And I'm sure Sinister will be sweating bullets as well, particularly Vicious there at the end. He was holding that angle so timidly. I could almost see his like sight shaking. He didn't want to lose that round.
What I love, did you see the lull in chat?
Yeah, from Luna.
From Luna. How good was that? The funny thing is, the round wasn't even over yet, and she said that, like, surely you're going to be distracting Vicious. Come on, Luna.
Imagine Vicious just in the corner of his eye looks at chat.
He sees chat and he's
Rock
like,
comes around the corner.
Damn it, Luna, stop it. Oh man, this is close. Sinister though, I mean, they really did well on that round. You know, at the start, obviously it was a bit of a collapse there, but one thing I did like from Fury is they really do have their confidence, and especially Flex. And I've talked about him a lot already, but he's the player which I'm expecting to be not having that confidence, playing extra passage, a bit like what we saw yesterday from one of the Cryptic players. I've forgotten who it was. Just like forced onto this support role, forced to do this one thing, and didn't have that confidence to go with it. But it's nice to see that both of the substitutes on these teams, Furies, Flex, and Sinister's Mist, have both been stepping up.
Yeah, both players performing well so far. It will be a test of endurance, though, to see how long they can keep that up. These games can almost go for an hour at a time, so it's a real test of how consistent they can be over that period. And without a lot in the way of experience, that could be detrimental. But I'm sure both players will want to step up here because there are such big stakes on this matchup.
Flex is a new addition to the core. For a long time, Golden was the player on Fury who is in that sub role. They didn't have the 5 core that they wanted. He's even played a LAN with them now. But let's talk about Sinister for a moment. Copper's holding this long angle. He may well get a gunfight. Fury no longer playing any ACOG operators. Warden decided to forego the Maestro and instead bring Vigil. He wants to play a little bit more loosely, and it looks like it's countering the drones really well. Mist doesn't have information on where Warden is, just a vague location.
Yeah, Sinister on this occasion not putting too much pressure above the objective so far, so maybe going for a horizontal push possibly. And that could be the play. Fury have a pretty strong hold above here once again. And with this Vigil on the board, things could be very, very dangerous here for Sinister. They have really no idea where Warden is, and he could potentially get picked into lobby. He sees the feet of the attacker, but is unsuccessful. Sees the ankles once again, but doesn't land the shot. Good trigger discipline. He wouldn't have secured the kill, and instead he's just going to sit here and just watch over this courtyard area. The pings are going out. They know where Mist is sitting, but whether or not Vicious can come in and collect the kill, that is the question as Nico goes for the peak.
If Warden reveals his position here without getting the kill, he's a dead man, but he doesn't even get anything out of it. Nico takes him down. A nice shot there, but meanwhile on site we did see that mirror window occupied by Shade facing into Blue Bar. It was protected. Hibana pellets were not successful, but Mist is so close to being able to run straight up behind that. This plant also looking to go down fairly soon. There's no C4 in Golden's hand, so he can't deny this if Luna goes behind the Blue Bar.
30 seconds on the board, and the execute will be coming out very shortly here from Sinister. Keep an eye on Luna. She has the diffuser in her hand. They need to try and cover it as she enters. Flex gets missed, and it's a 4 versus 4. Golden in such a key position on this mirror. The smoke will blind him a little bit, but it might not be enough to completely cover him. As Luna's actually made her way all the way up to the wall. Is the coverage there for the plant? Shade gets Copper. It's a 3 versus 4. Make that a 2 versus 4 as Luna's been dropped. The diffuser is down. And now it's up to Nico and Vicious to try and recuperate, but they don't have time on their side. Nico pushes in. He doesn't even get the kill, and Fury will take round number 6. A very convincing coverage there of the plant.
That really looked like it was going to be Sinister's round, though. For such a long time, Fury weren't making a contest, but it was because they had that top floor control still inside of Pool, inside of Hookah, and the vertical holes that they had created were easy to deny the plant that Sinister started to push in. So maybe a bit of an oversight from Sinister, not taking control of that that top floor. And if you're not taking control of the top floor, I feel like you can't force the plant down. You have to do what they did when they attacked the Hookah and Pool side. Just you have to actually push in, flush out all the anchors and take control. That's very difficult to do when there's a mirror on the board. So maybe a bit of an oversight from Sinister, but good capitalization from Fury. Now it's the end of the half.
End of the half indeed, and now of course Fury will be on the attack. Sinister on the defense. Interestingly enough, we did see a 6-pick there. Luna opting to jump onto the castle, trying to prevent some of these angles being generated from Fury. One of those castle barricades was placed on the double window. If I recall correctly, last night we did see a couple of kills through that window as well as the defenders try and cross billiards there. So an interesting use of utility to shut down that angle, as we see a pretty good lineup here from Sinister. They've brought the Maestro as well. We saw Fury play that quite a bit. Good clutch ability, and we'll be able to gather some nice intel for the side of Sinister.
And a lot of soft breach as well. 3 shotguns with the 2 SAS operators with the M590, and of course Maestro with his bailiff. So a lot of, I mean, even Castle's impact grenades to some degree as well. So a lot of makeover on the bomb site, really modeling it to how they want. And that's Castle as an operator that really assists in that. This is not something I've seen before, in fact. That Castle barricade on the hookah door and rotations around it. I really like the idea there. It's not very common, and I mean, I can see it might work, but it's a bit left, bit of right. I'd like to see how the round plays out before I get convinced either way.
As we enter the round now, it looks like Fury setting up for an aquarium push, flexing Golden, getting quite aggressive below. There actually is a barricade there in towards Blue Bar, so Sinister trying to establish some control below here, trying to prevent those soft breach attackers from causing havoc from below. Golden and Flex, a very dangerous combo, the Zofia and the Buck respectively. A lot of soft breach potential. The nades will also be in the hands of Flex, I would presume. So that could make things very dangerous for Sinister. But Rock here as well, holding the cross. So it looks like there's multiple members of Fury here, holding angles below, trying to flush out members of Sinister that aren't actually there.
This is not a rappel you see every day. A very dangerous one for Shade, but it will get him some good angles onto that pot plant hallway near Vase. Rock does spot him out. He wants the drone for him, but Copper just shuts him straight down. Cheeky idea from Shade, but there's a reason why you don't see that very often. And as you mentioned earlier, a lot of Fury are pushing downstairs. They're trying to dislodge these Sinister players, but it just doesn't seem to be working so far.
Yeah, Flex unable to connect anything just yet, as it looks like Sinister not playing directly on site, but playing on the same floor, utilizing sort of that eastern side of the map so that they're safe from the soft breach below. Meanwhile, Warden going to peek from the double window here. That castle barricade now has been taken out. But that castle we were mentioning earlier actually covering that vase position. So an interesting play there from Sinister coming into effect. But Rock now will try and push up Cool Vibe stairs. He pops a flash, but decides not to push. That could have been a play potentially. But I believe there's multiple members of Sinister watching this angle. Missed on the shotgun. You don't really want to be taking on that fight. That would be incredibly risky.
He's waiting patiently. Does pop that castle barricade. It was hit 11 times, so all it takes is one extra hit to completely dissolve the castle. And there, good flashbang will allow the kill for Rock, but the castle immediately retakes the position of the Mute. A really good flank from below, though, will eventually refrag Luna. Copper downstairs, his position revealed, his team at a numbers disadvantage. He needs to find this kill, but he doesn't. A great job from Flex there. It's a 3 versus 2. Now, Fury in a really good position. Sinister trying to dash to deny this plan, but Golden, can he get it down? He just barely does. He'll fall afterwards, making it a 2 versus 1 in the post plant. Vicious has it all to do.
Vicious, a player very competent in these scenarios. I wouldn't put past him to clutch this one out. He decides to rotate below, actually, expecting the members to be outside at the bottom of the hookah stairs. It looks like Fury, though, will play incredibly passive here. They're a long way away. 2 of them on the hookah balcony. So if he goes for the peak, one of them might drop, but the other should refrag. He's going to go for the peak, but he sprints too far, and Fury will secure their first attack.
This is absolutely neck and neck so far. Fury did just barely get that round on attack as well. For a long time, I didn't think it was possible, but I think it really hinged on that blue stairs control. Rock managing to land the flash and take down the Mute player. Eventually he was refragged, but he got 2 in that position, and there were 2 players on site, which meant that the rest of Fury were able to quickly get into the objective, get that 7-second plant down. And it was just by the skin of their teeth that they even got that down as well, because of the gas from smoke.
Yeah, that attack really was spearheaded from those Cool Vibe stairs. If Mist was able to hold that position and prevented them from pushing up there, a lot of those refrags that ended up being unfavorable for Fury in the end never would have actually happened. So, as you said, such a close round. Smoke almost clutching it out in the end. It's a game of very fine margins at the moment as we head over to the bar bomb site.
We're seeing a lot of bar as well.
Yep.
Didn't used to be such a bomb site we'd see as much. Oh, come on, Nico. Surely he makes it work. Oh, he had it for a second, and then he stopped holding down left click. That's a shame, Nico. And our observer agrees.
That would have been such a Nico thing, though,
Yeah.
if he actually got it down. Not a bad position either. Watches a lot of that courtyard position and would actually be able to shoot through those little feet holes in towards the blue bar. So unfortunate that it didn't work out for him. But nevertheless, SINISTER will just continue with the rest of their setup here. And hopefully they'll be able to get a round back here on Fury.
Yeah, well, we saw when Fury defended this bomb site, they had that presence upstairs. It looks like SINISTER's going to do the same thing. We did see, I believe it was Vicious opening up holes underneath the... Oh, okay. Here's a nice mute jammer. I believe that jams the top of the white stairs, the lobby stairs. Surely. Maybe the...
Shade's drone, maybe. Let's have a look.
Surely this doesn't... I don't think that it would have good coverage, no. That's... Oh, no, it does! There you go. It covers the luggage hallway. I'm definitely going to steal that one.
There we go, missed the rope in for SINISTER today. Proving his worth with a fantastic little spot there, using utility to its fullest advantage. Shane will collect his drone, as it has obviously been disabled, and he'll throw it out further where he can actually use it.
You can't actually use your drone, though, while you're standing next to a mute jammer.
That is correct.
As I learned thanks to Twitter. Doki on Twitter.
Meanwhile, the rest of Fury will start to progress above here. Couple of members with soft breach as well. We saw that previously in the first half as Vicious gets the first onto Shade. So Nomad no longer on the board. That's going to allow SINISTER to have some more flanking opportunities late in the round. He can't get the second. Golden, despite being close range with the ACOG, will secure that kill. And halfway through the round, it's going to be a 4 versus 4 scenario. Rock able to gather some intel in towards the site. As it looks like SINISTER utilising Kitchen to its fullest advantage here. Both Nico and Copper holding that position, holding the crossfire in towards the Sunrise bar as Fury is still trying to establish control.
Fury do have that info on site, which is so essential. Copper really wants to retake these blue stairs. He's just feeling it out. Pre-fires will give him away. There was actually no one watching him for a moment there. He may well try this. Retaking the blue stairs could really turn the tide of the round if Copper can pull it off. We know he's a player who wants to make those plays, but missed on the defense. He's the one to hold fast inside of Sunrise. Copper decides to anchor, really commit down into Sunrise, but there's still a lot of roamers alive. Copper not flashed, but he is taken out regardless. A great job from both Warden and Golden to thin out the numbers of the defense. Nico knows that now he needs to really make an impact. He needs to get back onto the bomb site, fill those empty positions.
Nico and Luna both in positions to try and get something going, but Warden will make it a 1 versus 3. Luna left with it all to do on the Mozzie. Uses the rotate through blue. So she'll be able to go into courtyard now as Golden tries to initiate the plant, but 2 angles being held from Fury, but she denies the plant. A fantastic headshot makes it a 1 versus 2. Rock, though, will quickly recover the diffuser and try and plant it once again. Warden in such a powerful position, but he can't hold this rotate if Luna manages to make it past the door. She can't even quite get through the little gap there. So unfortunately, the plant will go down, and she is seemingly unaware of the positions of these Fury players. She will try and go above and clear out cool vibes. It's clear for the meantime. But I'm expecting these Fury members to just sit outside, and that's going to force Luna outside as well, likely to be revealed as she runs outside here. She goes for the run out to the stairs. She manages to get one. Doesn't quite see the second, though. Warden a little bit lucky to not be taken out as well. Time, though, not on the side of Luna. Warden holding the angle on the window. If she goes for the counter defuse now, she has to stick it to be successful. She goes for the kill instead. Warden could potentially be dropped, but the time has run out. Warden plays it well, and there we go. Fury 3-5 up.
Really valiant effort there from Luna. That narrow angle through the bomb all the way from the kitchen hallway was so very close, but at the end, it was too big a task to really do in that amount of time. Nice effort there, and as you mentioned, Fury is really having a good defensive half so far. SINISTER hasn't broken through just yet. Might take them a little bit of time to warm up in this half on their attacks. It took them a little bit of time to warm up on their defenses as well, where they lost the first one, but eventually did take 3 in the half. So draw still on the cards. I mean, SINISTER could still come back from this position as well. But Fury's actually looking really good. I want to say I was a bit worried about Fury coming into this game where they lost Bruce. They've had only a few weeks really to make some major changes in their team and bring on a less Pro League experienced player. I don't want to discredit Flex. He's an experienced player in competitive games. And SINISTER, I mean, I'd almost expected the same with Mist playing instead of Fisho, but we're seeing both teams, I think, playing their A game at the moment.
Yeah, not much separating them so far. We did quickly see that Rock in the double digits as well, so he's playing quite well. Fury electing to put him onto the Ashe, probably a wise choice. Ashe is such a powerful fragger in the current meta. Despite her ACOG being taken away relatively recently, she is still quite strong. A 3-speed, of course, and SINISTER will have to be aware of that and try and shut down Rock early. Well, they could have some issues later in the round. I like this pulse pick, though. Finally, we're going to see some pulse.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of good pulse play. Information gathering is paramount, and the two big information gatherers, the Valkyrie and the Echo, off the board. We've seen Mozzie taking a lot to replace that, but the pulse gathers information, but it's only got that really short range, which I think is the biggest issue with it. But Mist can still get that information through the walls onto these players, even the hard walls. That's really where pulse specializes. Does spot that player repelling that window.
And Mist just playing safe at the moment, giving the call out there onto Shade, who is repelling on the southern side of the building. Warden, meanwhile, will actually drone out Mist, so he'll probably have to rotate as Flex and Warden, both pushing in through the offices. That could potentially put some more pressure in towards the blue bar area. But look at that, 3 members of SINISTER holding that position, and this is going to be challenging for Fury to take this on.
So few players on the objective right now for SINISTER, but Fury have been getting a lot of information here. They spotted out quite a few of the players here in the bars. Of course, the site is Kitchen, where we only saw the smoke playing. Warden wants to find this Ango just narrowly. He might not find a thing, and he sees the Maestro for a second, but he doesn't realize. Gets punished for it, and now SINISTER may well be able to finish him off, and they do. Good shot for Luna. It's evened up now in the numbers. Still this purple bar control from SINISTER held fast. But if Fury read into this, they can just target the objective.
Golden there, just seeing the tip of the gun of the player behind the main bar there. Flex has been given the call, but can't get the shot as Nico drops Golden. It's a 3 versus 3. Flex in a bit of powerful position here. Manages to get one. Could potentially get a second here onto Copper, but just misses the shot. Shade needs to come in now and try and clean this up. Copper in such a dangerous position if he's left to his own devices. The ADS will block the grenade from taking him out. Instead, Flex is going to go for the peek. He misses the initial shots. Fury just needs to collapse on him. There's 3 members there to do it. And there we go. Vicious now the last one left alive. He needs to clean it up. He's in a very compromised position as he tries to cross. And there we go. Fury clean up round number 9.
Fury are looking really good right now. They have had a slew of good rounds on their attack. Haven't dropped a single one just yet. They've guaranteed themselves minimum a draw here. And honestly, I'm thinking that they might take the victory, which puts SINISTER in this precarious position where they're staring down the possibility of being relegated, having to face the Challenger League before they can return to Pro League, if they return to Pro League for next season, Season 11.
Yeah, there is some fierce competition in Challenger League, a couple of up-and-coming teams, but I'm sure that won't be on the forefront of SINISTER's mind at the moment. They need to just work hard and try and grind out a draw here, because losing 3 defensive rounds in a row, that's pretty demoralizing. Even if they manage to lose this map, I can't help but feel it's going to have a mental effect on them in the next map. And we know that sometimes they can struggle under pressure, and they're not going to be under any more pressure than possible in the next map if they manage to lose this.
Yeah, I completely agree. SINISTER, they really need to perform. Even if they struggle here, they have to perform in the second map. And like you're saying, the mental game really is a factor that historically has affected SINISTER. I hate to say it, but it has. SINISTER against Oddity earlier this season, or it might have been last season, I think. They got 1 versus 5 by a Caveira on when they had full site control, and they absolutely threw it away. SINISTER is a team that, unfortunately, when the other team starts to get in their heads, they absolutely start to fall apart. So they really need to hold some of these defensive sites. They've tried 3 so far. They're going to retry this Kitchen, the same objective that they just tried when they had that really hard Sunrise hold. It looks like it's a much more safe on site kind of hold. But we saw how that worked out for Fury when they tried this on their defense. Give you a clue, it didn't work out for Fury. They tried to play on site. The attackers open up the floor above them and pick them apart.
Yeah, Sinister have to walk a very fine line here. They don't want to do anything silly, but at the same time, they can't just hurdle the site and play ultra passive, otherwise Fury are going to be able to capitalize on that. Missed under the pump already here in CSC. Warden should be able to clean him up, but he just misses the shot. That would have been a fantastic entry there. But Mist is able to get away with his life, and he just needs to run away here. Just get away from this. You've only got half HP. You could be used better elsewhere. Instead, he's going to hold this angle and expect Fury to peek it. But they're not too concerned about that. They're going to start pushing in towards Blue Bar here and get control of that kitchen door. Flex under the pump a little bit here, but Fury has plenty of time on their side to just clear this out methodically.
I really like the setup from Nico as well inside of Kitchen. Standing on the raised platform, he has a raised hole as well where he can peek all the way out into Courtyard. And with holes in the Blue Bar wall, he can also peek through there as well. And that's where Flex took a bit of damage. And because of that pressure there from Sinister, Fury are going to have to completely forego Blue Bar.
Nice angle here from Golden, but probably not as aggressive as Fury really need at the moment. They need to start establishing control because Sinister, in some interesting positions here, able to sort of just hold them back here and put some doubt in the back of the Fury members' minds. Shade, though, will try and get something going. He doesn't have any air jabs left, so not exactly sure where he's placed those. Hopefully in positions where Sinister will not be able to flank him as Rock will put pressure on the kitchen window. Just misses Luna as she crosses in towards the rotate. Once again, Fury unlucky with their timing, though. Warden will get Copper. So that's a Jaeger off the board, a very powerful defensive operator.
Nico's still in this aggressive position, but he is taken out by Golden, completely exposed to Sunrise, and Fury had taken that control. This is match point for Fury right now, and they're in a 5 versus 3. There's 40 seconds remaining, and most of the Sinister players are hiding on the objective. It's really just a matter of time until Fury begins their collapse. Will they try to force this plant down? They now have kitchen control, and Warden getting that diffuser planted. 3 Sinister players left, and 2 of them are now off-site. They're definitely not going to deny this plant, but can they retake? The numbers disadvantage, everything working against Sinister right now.
Fury in incredibly powerful position. Sinister looking a bit flustered, but Luna will get something going. Golden off the board. Mist, however, will be taken out, so it's a 2 versus 4. Luna and Vicious left with it all to do. Such strong fraggers in their own right. Luna doesn't even see him on the table, but eventually drops him, secures her double, and it's a 1 versus 3. She needs to go biggie, but it's not enough. Fury will take round number 10 and successfully take Coastline.
A flawless slew of attack rounds for Fury. We were worried about their current form. We thought Sinister were to take this game, but no. It's Fury who steps up, and they have a flawless head-to-head record in recent times against Sinister, looking to continue that into map 2.
Sinister really under the pump now, looking like they're on the brink of being demoted to the Challenger League.
It's a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Yeah.
The thing that's slightly going for them is if they win this next map, they do win the round difference against... So if Sinister win this next map, we're going to have 3 teams at the bottom of our Pro League on 7 points on the standings. Cryptic, Fury, and Sinister. And depending on the result of this next match, one of these teams will be ahead based on the round difference, but Sinister does have the round difference advantage over Cryptic. So if Sinister win this next game, it's entirely likely that neither of these teams will get relegated and go to Challenger League. It'll be Cryptic.
Based off the first map's performance, though, I think it's really hard to believe that Sinister could actually realistically take this map too. Not only was their first map a pretty poor performance, but that's got to play in the back of their minds heading into the second map. We know, as you mentioned before, they can struggle mentally, and losing so many defensive rounds in a row, that has to be detrimental.
Yeah, well, Fury, I think, had the advantage in the first poll that we did. What do you guys reckon is going to happen for the second game? ESL Rainbow 6 on Twitter is where you can have your say. Which team is going to win map number 2? Sinister or Fury? Will we see a draw? For a long time, it looked like the draw was possible, and then Fury started on their attacks, and they just didn't stop. It was 4 straight attacks.
Yeah, at the switch of the halves, Fury came out like they were a new team. They completely stomped Sinister. They looked pretty flustered on the side of Sinister, and Fury they didn't look like they were at the bottom of the table. They looked quite efficient in their attacks, and Sinister didn't have an answer.
That's right. Well, one more map tonight, Sinister versus Fury. Who's going to take it? Who's going to go down to Challenger League? Find out very shortly.
Defender has left the area of operation. Defender exposed.
It's our last map for tonight in the Rainbow Six Pro League Australia-New Zealand edition. Here it's Sinister versus Fury after a pretty nice map number 1. We had some highlight moments. We're back for more here, and Fury's hungry for it. I'm Dev. Guz, it's been a good week so far, I feel.
Yeah, it's been a good week so far. Super week, of course. 3 play days in a row to work out who will be going to the APAC LAN finals. But tonight, we're also focused on the bottom of the standings, aren't we? Both these teams on the brink of relegation.
That's right. So, who do you reckon is gonna win and go to those APAC finals? Not these teams, I can tell you that much. But it could be Fnatic, it could be Wildcard, it could be Oddity, it could even be Mindfreak. We know a lot of the teams from the Asian regions that are going to be there. If you're in Sydney, even if you're not in Sydney, I highly recommend you come to the APAC finals on October 19th and 20th here at the ESL studios. It's going to be broadcast live, and you can come and maybe meet some of the players. Highly recommend you get your tickets, so link on screen. But yeah, like we said, it's not going to be Sinister or Fury who make it there, unfortunately. But hey, they have been here before. A lot of the Fury have played here at previous events. I highly recommend, if you've never been to an esports event, there's nothing quite like it. Both of these teams did make it to the Six Masters finals at MEO, where they faced each other. And Fury won that 2-0 on 2 close maps. Well, we haven't had a close map so far. Map number 2, we were saying our predictions are already wrong. Yeah.
Me and you both thinking Sinister would take this evening 2-0. Of course, they're 1-0 down at the moment. They do have the opportunity to bring it back here on map number 2, but based on their performance, particularly in the last 4 rounds, they lost 4 defenses in a row. That's, yeah, not good form.
We're not sure that would happen. We're not sure it's possible for Sinister to make it back, but it would put them drawing with Fury and Cryptic in a 3-way tie to get out of that relegation spot. Let's have a look at where we're going to be playing for this final map between these two teams. High stakes for Sinister and high stakes for Fury as well, who want to get themselves up and over Cryptic into that next bracket. It's not going to be any of the maps you can see on screen right now. Consular is vetoed out by Sinister. That was one of the maps that they played against each other on LAN, actually. Yeah,
that will be the case. I'm thinking we might see a cafe. I reckon that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm hoping.
Okay.
That was meant to be their 3rd map at the Masters. Unfortunately, we didn't get there because Fury run 2-0. But I feel like it is going to make it through the ban phase here.
Well, Sinister lost it only narrowly last week to Cryptic. Clubhouse is also still on there, which is the map they won against Cryptic. So if I'm Fury, I'm probably banning Clubhouse. And no, we're actually going to Clubhouse. So it was a decision between Cafe or Clubhouse for Fury. And just, despite winning earlier in this season against Fnatic on Clubhouse, Fury don't want to play it because they got smashed on Cafe at Masters by Fnatic. And now it's time to go to Clubhouse. A bit of a redemption opportunity for Sinister. A bit of a potential to continue that momentum from a 7-1 against Cryptic last week.
Yeah, that was a very dominant performance from them there. Has it been as dominant today? Obviously not, but there is potential for them to bounce back here. We can't count them out just yet.
Yeah, I've seen decent performances from Fury, but nothing to write home about. Nothing like we saw from Sinister against Cryptic last week. So I'm leaning towards Sinister again. I'm going to say it. What do you guys reckon? Guz is clearly doubtful. Let's spin up the poll vote. And Sinister does have the majority vote. Would you look at that? A draw is right on up there too, but this is a pretty even split.
That's the most even vote we've had all week so far. The draw as well, quite high. And based off the last map, it was close at the start. So you can understand where that draw vote's coming from. Fury, of course, being strong at the back end, but look, it could be either way, really.
To me, this map really hinges on what were Fury expecting coming to this game, because if they had predicted this ban phase, knew that they were going to Clubhouse, they could easily have voted Sinister from last week. If they hadn't, and they're going into this a little bit blind, I think Sinister definitely have the advantage. Something that does help out Fury is they don't have much VODs on this map. But nonetheless, it is Clubhouse for map number 2, the final map between Sinister and Fury. Who will fall into that relegation position at the bottom of the Pro League? Let's find out here on Club.
Straight into the ban phase, of course. SINISTER will be on the defense first, so they will have the first offensive ban. I'm expecting to see pretty similar bans to what we saw on the last map. Probably a Jackal could be on the cards as well. SINISTER taking their time, the full 10 seconds, and it will be a Capitao. So we saw Capitao as well on the last map.
Yeah, Capitao was banned by Fury last time, but yeah, SINISTER banned it this time. It's actually a bit of a departure from what SINISTER banned last week. They banned IQ and Echo when they played Cryptic here. And last time we saw Club, it was Fury got rid of Maverick, so a very staple ban for this map, and they'll continue to do that this time around. I expect that we won't see both Echo and Maestro get through, and with Fury, they get the first defensive ban. They can kind of set that stage and then put the onus onto SINISTER. All right, no.
That's interesting. Fury taking Mirror off the board. Mirror, an operator we don't typically see a lot of on Clubhouse in some very specific positions. Normally not too hard to counter, so maybe Fury just aren't confident in being able to take that out. Maybe maybe SINISTER, you know, have something in their back pocket with Mirror that Fury have detected, but it'll be off the board.
It's so weird because I'm looking at a lot of the results that I have recently. Fury haven't been banning Mirror very much, but SINISTER have. SINISTER banned Mirror all the damn time. And so maybe this is Fury doing SINISTER a favor, or maybe not. We'll see. SINISTER gets rid of Echo as the final ban. So Maestro is still on the table. Cade is still on the table. Bandit is still on the table. These are all very high impact operators that the defense have and can utilize here on Clubhouse.
And Fury bringing an operator lineup to try and counter that. But the key thing is SINISTER won't actually be going upstairs here, instead opting to go to the basement objective, Church and Arsenal room, of course. And a relatively interesting lineup. The 6-pick onto the Cade there. A nice pick, I like that. Probably going to be used to counter the hatch in kitchen and possibly even the main wall behind the bar.
That said, Thatcher is in play, so it's possible the Thatcher can counter those K charges. But if an attacking team isn't so vigilant on their coordination between the Thatcher and the various hard breaches, we can definitely see them punished. So it'll come down to how Fury play that one. Nonetheless, downstairs is not what we most of the time see as a first primary defensive choice. Usually it's Cash, but I feel like that doesn't really matter that much because downstairs is just as good as Cash, if not better sometimes. So really it's just a game of preference, and Fury have surely got to be prepared regardless of what objective it is.
5 seconds left before insertion.
We see Cade here, missed, using that shotgun to full effect, making rotates as well as holes to be able to impact trick the hatch later on in the round. So that shotgun could be quite impactful. Smoke as well with the shotgun in hand, so a lot of remodeling going on the side of SINISTER. Obviously some pre-planned setups, and hopefully that can counter Fury as they get above control and try and open that hatch. Of course, Maverick is off the board, so they can only open the hatch with Habana pallets or thermite charges, both of which can be taken out by impact grenades.
Interesting choice from SINISTER here to actually completely barricade off of the dirt tunnel. And Flex is going to open that nice and early with a thermite charge. Now, SINISTER will have a little bit of warning if Fury try to push through that, because there is a goo mine down inside of the dirt tunnel and also that barricade. But now it's up to Rock to open up this hatch. Putting the Habana pellets down. Oh, but it's going to get tricked, surely, by the K charge. No! There was a grenade or something that got rid of that K charge. Maybe a Thatcher EMP. So there is 3 Habana pellets that detonate on the hatch. Now, the hatch requires 4 pellets to detonate in order to fully break. So Rock will have to dedicate an entire another shot from his ex-Kairos to get that hatch open.
Whether or not Rock decides to utilize that utility, we'll have to wait and see. It's likely that they will try and open this hatch here, as we see Golden as well, getting a lot of verticality going. And there we go. They're going to try and Thatcher out that Cade. Miss doesn't have another Electro Claw in his inventory, so there we go. The hatch will be opened successfully by Rock. And now Fury can start getting something going here. SINISTER feeling the pump a little bit. They're forced back into these positions, back towards Arsenal, Nico, and missed. Neither of them wanting to contest that angle that has now been generated from the hatch, and probably a safe play to do so.
Flex actually getting quite aggressive down here in Dirty. As the diffuser as well, you don't usually want your dirt player to have the diffuser because they're really for cutting off rotations rather than getting in and getting that plant down. But all of the hard breach utility from both teams has been expended, so this will have to be really an armory push rather than a church push, as they don't have any hard breach to deploy on the church wall.
Yeah, so interesting that Flex has the diffuser in hand here. If he drops, and it drops right at the dirt tunnel door here, that's going to be so hard for the Fury members to try and pick back up. Flex, his position is completely known now. He's firing out shots, not connecting any. And with 30 seconds to go, they need something going. Flex just misses the head there of Nico, eventually gets dropped. A very big misplay here from Fury. That diffuser now down. He will be finished off by Mist, and it's a 4 versus 4. Make that a 3 versus 4. Mist manages to get a double. A nice headshot with a shotgun onto Golden. Rock manages to recover the diffuser, but the Fury members now need to try and cover with 15 seconds to go. Such a hard entry here through the door. He misses the shot. Mist gets the triple, finally gets traded out. It's a 1 versus 3 as Shade makes his way in through Arsenal, but he doesn't have the diffuser in hand. Time not on his side. And SINISTER, after 4 straight round losses on the last map, will finally pick something up here on Clubhouse.
SINISTER looking at home here on the defense, and they started off well. As you said, they lost 4 straight rounds when they were defending on the previous map on Coastline, and thankfully for them, Clubhouse is a completely different kettle of fish on the defensive half. And we talk about what went wrong for Fury there. Of course, there was what we highlighted about the diffuser being carried by Flex in Dirt Tunnel. That I wouldn't pin the whole round on that, but it was a bit of frustrating to see that happen to Fury. What ideally I would have liked to see is Fury needed to, one, dislodge some of those key positions. The one of them was behind the armory case near the AK rack, and the other one was on that green box that near the connection between armory and blue. And that was where Mist got 3 or 4 kills. That was hugely impactful for SINISTER, and Fury needed to disable those positions, and I think they needed to drop the hatch, honestly. I think we needed to see them either go from the hatch or from the main stairs into Armory, because trying to really use that dirt angle, it didn't work out. And that TCSG slug shotgun that Mist was wielding proved to be far too powerful in his hands for Fury to overcome.
Yeah, that play from dirt is one we often see come late in the round. Normally with a 3-speed to be able to swing wide and get kills on known positions, but instead having the diffuser in the hand of Flex there put him under enough pressure to only half peak angles, not really dedicate to it fully, and it cost them in the end. However, now we will see SINISTER to the more common, I guess, bomb site in Cache and CCTV upstairs here on Clubhouse. Fury, though, should be able to get that main wall open, such a critical part of this objective. They have 2 hard breaches in hand, as well as Thatcher, and even Zofia, who is commonly now used to try and counter any sort of bandit trick. SINISTER, though, won't be bringing bandit. He is on the board, but instead electing to go the Cade.
Yeah, and the bandit trick is something that's fallen a little bit out of meta on this bomb site because of the use of the Zofia trick to counter it. So we will see the Cade deployed from below. It does seep through and have that electric effect on the remaining reinforced part of the wall, but that's not really going to have much of an effect on Fury for the rest of their attack.
Yeah, Mist seemingly a little bit late there placing the charge. It does take a little bit to deploy, and unfortunately didn't get the intel in time to place it early. So Fury now in an incredibly advantageous position. 1 minute into the round, and not only have they gotten the main wall open, but now they will try and get the garage open, but it's actually been tricked there with an impact grenade as Golden gets Copper. So Copper not having the best of times here on the Jaeger, unfortunately. And that's going to be a lot of gunpowder on the side of SINISTER taken out.
Yeah, and a huge up for Fury is that they have now cleared out... Oh no, they've cleared out top garage, but not bottom garage. They still have to deal with that Cade downstairs. And that's really where I believe the problem will be fronting Fury. A lot of presence downstairs, and if they're not careful, that will come back to bite them in the bud. Garage control tends to be so essential for this bomb site. Mist has been so good this game. Gets another kill for himself, holding in garage. And unfortunately, Fury do lose a player to that disconnect as well.
That will make it a 3 versus 4. Mist was in a very sneaky position there inside of garage. Manages to pick up Rock. So although he missed that Electroclaw on the main wall, he's making up for it with frags. Water, meanwhile, sneaking in towards Cache. Sees the gun there of Nico. He tries to pre-fire around the corner. Warden hits a couple shots, not enough to down him. And there we go. Warden and Golden, the last 2 left. Warden left with it all to do as Mist secures the triple, and things not looking great here for Fury as they try and salvage the round.
1 versus 4 for Warden. Mist has been so good this round so far. Surely he cleans up the last one as well. Just the cherry on the cake. Warden is the last one remaining. Mist isn't getting overzealous with it, but Warden does find his head. It's a 1 versus 3 now. Still not really doable. What can Sinister come out with? And there you go, another round win here on this defensive cache.
Yeah, decent performance there from Sinister. Luna cleaning up with the final kill. And Mist coming in today and managing to clean up quite well there on the second round. That shotgun can be quite difficult to use, but he's proved that he is quite efficient with it, both in round 1 and number 2.
Yeah. Huge impact kills, and also impact plays, not just the kills, but that impact grenade to destroy the thermite charge on the garage wall. If that thermite charge had been allowed to detonate, he wouldn't have been able to play garage anymore. And he would have had to fall back, and he consistently got more and more kills from that position, thanks to him protecting that reinforced wall with the impact grenade. So can't discredit that. It's not just tapping heads that makes the difference, it's also the use of utility, to which Mist has been doing a really good job. Ticking all the boxes.
Attackers need to locate and
He has so far. So we will be in round number 3 now, of course. Sinister have won 2 successful defenses in a row, so they'll go to their 3rd favoured bomb site, which of course will be Bedroom Bar. Unfortunately, we're not going to see that. Teams opting not to go there in most cases, as it is the 4th site. And Sinister here looking to extend the site out to cache a hold that we have often seen. We can see Luna now reverse reinforcing the wall, so they'll be able to impact trick it even easier. There is a little trick where if you reinforce it from inside, you can actually soft breach the outside of the wall, place the thermite charge inside of that, and it can be a lot harder to actually impact trick the utility.
It's not impossible, but it was something I believe we first saw in BR6 from some of the Latin American teams. Cheeky little tricks that they've invented. But yes, as you mentioned, there is a bit of a cache hold. It's Luna at the moment over there. Nico's interestingly used both of his impact grenades. I would have thought he'd be using those to trick that wall, but at the moment he seems fascinated with this hatch. Has he got some trick up his sleeve? An aggressive peek? No, not yet. Losing the Maestro this early would be really detrimental. I believe he does take out that drone. So that's 1 kill for him. Oh, sorry, one little helpful bit of work done from him. There is a drone still up there. I'm not sure if he did actually pop that shot before. And that external wall of Jacuzzi is opened really early without that much contest. Great job from Fury.
Yeah, Mist electing not to try and bandit trick that wall, but he gets a kill there onto Flex, so Thermite off the board. That means he won't be able to rotate back over towards Cash and get anything going on that side. So now Fury have to basically dedicate all their manpower now over to this gym side of the objective. Sinister, if they are aware of that fact, they should be rotating now outside of Cash. They'll have pretty good control of that area. Construction, such a choke point, should be pretty easy to hold, but Warden has progressed towards the site. A Claymore will go down to cover his back. And it looks like Fury, despite losing that hard breach, is still in a decent position to take this round. Copper taking out Warden, though. Was that a one-tap?
Yeah, I think it might have been all the way from inside of dirt, a couple punch holes in the wall, and then just a cheeky little one-tap or spray. Find his head. That's 2 players who have died on the Jacuzzi balcony, and I believe the diffuser fell down, which means Fury will have to go and pick it up again. Only 3 players left for them. They had taken really good ground, but suddenly they've hit that brick wall now. And even if they tried to get aggressive, take control of site, Sinister has that numbers advantage, which means they're going to be in favor if it comes down to that refrag game.
A minute left on the board. Fury still yet to recover the diffuser that was dropped earlier in the round. They'll have to go collect that before it's too late. And they forget. Shade meanwhile drops inside of Logi. He progresses quite aggressively. No one aware of his position. He gets 1. Copper gets Rock in the meantime. It's a 1 versus 4 as Nico secures a kill as well. So Golden has finally collected that diffuser, but not in a position to hit any refrags as he did so. So now he will be forced to push inside of Jim. Shoots through the connecting wall. Won't connect a shot though, and things not looking great. He gets a really nice flick there onto Luna, using the AirCog to full effect, but unaware of these player positions. The AirCog as well, blocking his vision to the left here significantly, so he needs to try and hit some nice pre-fires to have any chance of securing this. But things not looking favourable. Barbed wire as well on his way, slowing him down. And SINISTER, they're quite content in just sitting here. They're not going to peek Golden. Nothing in it for them. They have time on their side, though. Copper will get aggressive. Another player is like getting aggressive as well. The shotgun, and Golden manages to drop him. SINISTER, what are you doing? Just play passive. They will secure the round. But 2 kills at the end there. Just the SINISTER jitters, Dev. What is going on? Why are they peeking?
I mean, like, at that point, it was really unlikely they were going to lose that round, but it doesn't need to be done, man. They don't need to peek that. They really don't. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. They win the round, as you said, and they're going to go to church. So it's been a full set of 3. I like to call it around the world. It's not quite because we haven't seen Bar yet, but SINISTER have defended the 3 bomb sites that they need to. And all you need to do now is just loop that one more time, and you've got a flawless half. It's quite a contrast to what we saw with the first match. Or the first map, rather, of this matchup with Coastline Fury. I mean, it was neck and neck when Fury were on the defense. As soon as Fury flipped over to the attack, SINISTER didn't get anything. And we're not seeing that at all here. Fury are struggling on their attack. I mean, of course, Clubhouse is a very different beast. Attacking Clubhouse, very different to attacking on Coastline. But this time around, it is SINISTER who are taking that lead. And it's certainly something that I think could help spearhead that momentum. We talked about how much the momentum can have an impact for SINISTER.
Yeah, SINISTER looking like they've been able to come back from that map number 1. They haven't let it affect them too much. Of course, they are in defense, and it is Clubhouse, so it is a favorable position. But being able to win 3 unique sites in a row is no mean feat. So I'm sure they'll be content with that so far. They need to just keep the momentum rolling, though. Once Fury start getting rounds back on SINISTER, that's going to be the real challenge. That's going to be the real test of their mental fortitude. If Fury start getting back into this game, SINISTER, they need to hold that confidence. They've looked confident so far, but we know that sometimes that can disappear. Shade, meanwhile, getting aggressive, drops Blue. The flash will momentarily make his screen wide. He gets quite aggressive. No one inside of Blue, no utility. Mist, fortunately, gets the kill. That could have been super messy. Doesn't follow it up with the second, and Rock will secure that one. It's a 4 versus 4. Fury have control of Blue, and SINISTER completely unaware as Warden gets vicious. And there we go. Rock's already made his way inside of Arsenal. Where are these SINISTER players? They appear to be off-site. One inside Armor at the moment. And there we go. Rock managing to drop that player. Leaving it all up to Luna and Nico. It's a 3 versus 2 effectively. Oh, from
clever.
above. Nico drops Rock. But it will be a 2 versus 2. Luna and Nico left with it all to do. But there are 2 minutes on the board, Dev. Lots of time to play with here.
Yeah, only 1 minute's gone down. And Fury looked at this SINISTER heavy roam. Even the hatches were opened by SINISTER, so they made those rotations downstairs. But Fury decided to target the bomb site, and it worked out well for them partially. Fury don't have the diffuser yet on the ground, and they're still retaking. SINISTER have a perfect pinch opportunity now if they can locate these Fury players. Oh, that's a nice little impact grenade, and Luna has 1 left as well to make an opening for herself. Both of the Fury players have taken very, very low on HP, and surely this is the round for SINISTER. Nico finds 1. It's a long-range angle, but now it's a 1 versus 1. Surely the SMG-12 isn't the play here. And Warden gets the shot. How does he make it happen? L85 just too good in this scenario. Warden, a 1 versus 2 clutch.
Fury should not have won that. Their HP was so low. They had the intel on that final player, but it wasn't enough. Warden coming out strong there. Finally will secure the first of Fury's round wins on the attack. And SINISTER would be a little bit shaky after that one. A winnable round, no doubt. Unfortunately, they weren't able to secure the deal.
It was a nice idea from SINISTER going for that heavy roam. It's something we've seen teams do in the past, including SINISTER, but it really didn't work out. I like that Fury looked at the situation. They decided, no, let's just push downstairs really fast. But that wasn't the end of the story, because SINISTER absolutely met them with contention. They found the opening frag and moved forward from there. Really, it just came down to, after the entire round, it just came down to 2 players from Fury having to step up in that unenviable situation downstairs, and Warden made it happen.
Warden, of course, a player with a lot of pro experience. One of the most experienced players in the region, in fact. So he won't let the pressure affect him too much. He's been in these situations before. he'll be able to just steady himself. And of course, in that round, he did so. Able to secure their first round win. And Fury now need to try and steamroll this momentum a little bit.
Warden is definitely the most experienced Pro League player in this entire matchup right now. Fury are, as a team, a newer team than SINISTER, but they have a lot of OGs on the squad. Warden has played every single season of Pro League on various teams. He's played a lot of LAN events as well, multiple LAN events, including APAC finals. He's played at 2 of those. He's played at, with Fury at 2 LAN events now as well.
We'll be on the Thatcher at the moment as Flex comes over to try and assist in getting the wall open. So Thermite and Thatcher, a combo that is so commonly seen in Siege from the very first day the game was released. Thatcher will throw out one of those EMP grenades, and Flex now should be able to come in and get the wall, followed it up with some Hibana charges to make things a little bit more challenging. Miss from below, though, could hit the juggle of the claw, and it's successful. There we go. That is a lot of utility taken off the board here for Fury. A set of X-Kairos and a Thermite charge. Could this be a recoverable position for Fury? They're going to go for it again. Will it be unsuccessful? The EMP will go out straight away. Where's Mist? Is he below? He's not under pressure, but he's unable to successfully stop that charge from going off. Not too bad in the end for Fury. A little bit messy, but the wall is open.
Double trouble for Mist. He finds 2 bits of hard breach. You very rarely see that with a Cade charge. Really nice job so far. And yes, the wall was open, but it really restricts what Fury is able to open with the rest of their hard breach. They have that last X-Kairos pellet. I'm not sure if it was last. They might have one more. Yeah, there you go. So they have 1 set of Hex Kairos that they can still use on the construction wall. But Garage still isn't clear, so they don't have any more hard breach they can utilize there. Really good start to this round by SINISTER. They still have this Garage control as well. Fury will have to take the next steps from here.
Yeah, I really like this control established below from SINISTER. Luna no doubt has a C4 in hand as well, so that's going to be handy in denying the plant. And with a minute to go, Fury probably don't have the opportunity to actually go down and clear them out, so they're going to have to take their chances and try and spearhead the side. And it looks like they will do that from this construction side. Shade on the sledge running the L85 with the ACOG. Could get some nice angles here in towards the cash room, but SINISTER aren't giving them much at the moment. They're playing quite passive. Nico will get Shade off the board, so there we go. That sledge is now taken out. And Nico on the Maestro in this position, so powerful as some smoke grenades are going out. Vicious trying to push them back. Luna will get one onto Warden. And now it's left up to 3 members of Fury to clutch this out. Flex trying to get through this double wall, but he just can't. Vicious with another smoke grenade pushing them back. And things not looking great here as Nico will secure his second and a third. 2 headshots in a row. Flexo is having none of it. He tries to get the clutch going. He'll start that off with Vicious taken off the board, but Nico trying to secure another kill, and there we go. Nico popping off there from construction, and SINISTER keeping the momentum on their side.
That downstairs defense was just a blip in the game for SINISTER. They keep making their moves around. Next in line is going to be a retry of Bedroom, where they previously won in the final round of their defensive half. A 5-1 here would be really difficult for Fury to come back from. I mean, this map and ban phase are defensive favored, but honestly, I think Fury going to the second half looking at a 1-5, that's something that's very difficult to come back from.
Yeah, and I think that's where the players like Warden, for example, with all that experience, need to step up. If they do end up going 5-1 down, he's the type of player that just needs to reset the team's mindset. He just needs to remind them that, of course, it's very defensive-sided with these bans, with the map, and just sort of reset their mentality. If SINISTER, who are evenly matched to them, are able to go 5-1 up, there's nothing stopping Fury from coming back and doing the same. They do have the scoreline against them, but there's nothing stopping them from following that up as well. So we'll see SINISTER now defending over on this Bedroom side of the map, expecting them to extend it over towards Cash once again. And there we go. Copper going to reinforce the CCTV. So SINISTER seem to be sticking to their guns here, Dev.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, and I think it'll work out for them. I mean, it's looked really good so far for SINISTER. Fury did have a nice first step last time they attacked this bomb site. They got control of that jacuzzi wall nice and early, but there's a lot more to do for them. SINISTER going to slightly change up what they're doing with the castle being utilized. Also a bandit. It looks like it's going to be a bandit trick of the cache wall. That's sorry, the CCTV wall. That's really uncommon on this bomb site. That is. I mean, it's super common on when you're defending cache as the bomb site, but not here. That might throw a spanner in the works for Fury.
Potentially, but Shade there. A very quick entry onto Copper, and Copper not having the best of times so far. A couple times now on that Jaeger being dropped as the first frag. So that's unfortunate. Hopefully he's already placed those ADS devices. And it looks like he's actually being wallbanged through the window there, so that's going to be a bit tilting for Copper.
Could have been an aggressive peek. I wouldn't put it past Copper.
Yeah, maybe. Nonetheless, he's off the board, so hopefully those ADS devices have been placed and some utility will be provided. Warden sussing things out. Sees the shield there on the Logi door, one I haven't seen before. Could allow for Sinister to try and hold that angle in towards the main wall a bit more efficiently. And here we go, Flex watching that angle from the dirt tunnel. We saw that be successful in their previous defense, but on this occasion, no one will be playing that position. That's going to allow Flex now to run towards that bathroom wall. He'll get it open, and Fury ready now to try and get something going. This could potentially work. Sinister investing a lot on the other side of the map. If Fury can get in here and cover that construction rotate, they could be in a lot of trouble. Especially
because Fury have that numbers advantage. Sinister won't really be able to overwhelm Fury. Even if they have one player planting, it'll still be a 4 versus 4 effectively for Fury. They do have those numbers. Warden's on the peak now. Drone came out, got some information. I think Nico's position was revealed. Warden's just playing patiently. Vicious will put a stop to this progress with a smoke grenade, but it's only a matter of time, and time Fury have plenty of at the moment. Still a whole minute to go. And Rock playing on these windows as well. Mist is below and playing the bandit. He likely has a C4, so if there is information... Okay, he doesn't have a C4, so he's really only going to be able to be effective through that window. And another good peek there for Luna. 3 versus 4. Sinister still on the back foot.
Make that a 4 versus 2 as Warden gets a nice headshot. Flex has found his way into sight here. He needs to try and initiate a plant. They need to force Luna and Mist back towards the site. Luna... not a great position. You want to be rotating through construction. Quite vulnerable in that instance. Mist tries to make his way up the metal stairs here. But once again, met with many angles to contest as well. And there we go. Both will be dropped off the board quite easily. And Fury will take the last round of the half.
It was slow and steady wins the race that round for Fury. They just did step 1, they did step 2. And Sinister never... took the fight to Fury. There was never a moment where Fury had to brace themselves and take a punch. It was just Fury playing their game. And, well, you can only read into it so much, right? It's the end of that half now for Fury and Sinister. I was about to say Finister. Man, tongue twister. Sinister had a really good defensive half, but now that we look at it as a 4-2, you know, that was a 3-0 at one point, and that looked really good. 4-2 doesn't look quite so advantageous, especially since we've been pushing the issue that this is a defensive favored map with these operator bans. And 4-2, that's only slightly defensive favored for a half. That is as close to equal as you can get without actually being equal.
Yeah, Sinister, I think, will be content with how the rounds played out. They probably would have preferred to be up by at least one more round, considering they did win 3 rounds straight. Off the bat. But what's done is done. Sinister now, they need to get in an attacking mindset. Leave that behind them. They have been defending now for 10 rounds. So that could take them a little bit now to get into that attacking mindset.
That's true. Because we did go straight off of the first game into this one. With Sinister stayed on the same side. But yeah, for Fury... I think this is totally a winnable situation, right? They won map number 1 7-3, so they can't have the same scoreline here. But I definitely think this is still winnable for Fury. 4 points on the defense isn't enough for me to say that Sinister have really guaranteed themselves even a draw here, because Fury have a 1-round buffer. Like they only need to win 5 more rounds, and that sounds like a lot. But 5 out of the next 6 to get a win, 4 out of the next 6 to get a draw. That's totally doable when they're on their defensive side. Anyhow, they do start downstairs, as did Sinister. Sinister are going to get map control really fast because they have that Jackal. They don't have to drone everything. They can just check for prints. And yeah, I guess it'll... Oh, it's a bit of a fail by Golden shooting his own ADS. But I think that's going to come down a lot to how Sinister can hard counter the setup that Fury have downstairs here.
Yeah, Fury opting for more of a traditional setup here. Very safe. All 5 members will be below. Sinister will be forced into the traps that they have set. Fury electing to hold blue here. Golden in that position. Only has one ADS left as he unfortunately shot his first. He could potentially get a shot here onto the top of the blue stairs, but just misses the pixel there. The ADS did save him from being stunned as well. So holding this position, he has been droned out. Tries to pre-fire Oil Pit as Rock. Gets a C4 there onto the Jackal, so no more scans will be coming out on the side of the attack. And Sinister could find it a little bit more challenging now to find intel. Doesn't look like they have the confidence to drop just yet. Halfway through the round, Copper will send a drone out here. But look, no one's willing to drop. They're all just playing passive. They're all waiting. Vicious looking to get this main wall open by the looks of things.
And that castle barricade does make it a bit awkward for Vicious to drop down. He will be slightly protected from that main hallway, but I think we need to see Sinister start to use their utility and disable some of those castle barricades on the front side. Luna trying to push up blue. There's another piece of barbed wire to contend with, potentially Legion Mines as well. She's not quite sure. She'll continue to prone up the hallway. Blue was cleared earlier by those flashbangs, but Sinister still have the numbers disadvantage. And time is running out for them as well. Luna waiting patiently. All of Sinister starting to push up here, but they haven't got a main entrance onto the bomb site. They don't have the church wall open yet either, and there's only 30 seconds left to take this bomb site away from Fury.
So many angles for Fury to watch, but there we go. They're successful, and it's a 5 versus 2. Vicious and Mist left with it all to do, but Fury clean it up. A flawless round for round number 7. And not the ideal start that Sinister would have wanted.
But it does take a little bit of time to warm up on your attacking half. At least you'd expect so here. Sinister won 3 in a row when they're on the defense, and I think this is just good from Fury so far. This isn't great. It's just this is what you need to do if you want to stay in the game. Now it's a 3-4 scoreline at the moment. Suddenly this really changes the situation. 2-4, that's starting to look close, but 3-4, no, this is very much an even game. Fury are on an upwards trajectory right now that they're on their defensive half. Running with that momentum can certainly be essential for the rest of this one. Sinister need to step up, get that confidence back, and start to really hard counter what Fury are doing. If we want to see Sinister really close out here. Of course, they lost map number 1. Sinister did. And I think losing here pretty much guarantees that they're going to stay in that 7th place and head down to Challenger League. Of course, both of these teams still have matches tomorrow night. Oddity will be Fury's opponent, and Fnatic is who Sinister will have to play. So probably unfavored in both of those matches, these teams. So really, they need to rack up their points here.
Yeah, definitely the case. And as the scoreline starts to get closer, the pressure on Sinister begins to grow more and more. Ideally, they need a map win here, really, to keep their chances alive. So that's what they'll be pushing for. Of course, any team would be happy with a win, but they really don't want to settle for a draw. In some cases, in Pro League, teams will sometimes be like, yeah, a draw, that's okay, we'll take that, we'll take the point. But when it's so tight for this relegation, as it is currently, Sinister really can't take that chance. They need to push as hard as possible here and try and secure the 3 points here on map number 2. They will be in cash, though, for their second defense, and nothing too crazy so far. Warden and Shade, though, double stacked on the stairs. That's interesting.
Yeah, if there's anything strange to me from Fury's defense is that they have no one holding Garage whatsoever. They're not even going to try to contest it. That's really uncommon, and if Sinister read into that, they should be able to take control of Garage really fast. But they're probably going to need some hard breach as well, as that entire wall from Garage was reinforced. If Sinister had information, I surely would expect that they wouldn't be taking it this way. The longer that they wait, the more opportunity Fury has to make a rotate into Garage. But they're so preoccupied, so many players from Sinister focusing on denying this bandit trick, getting that main wall open. They do. And now surely Garage is the next step. Someone has to make it happen. It looks like Nico's the one up to the chopping block now. Nico and Copper together. Copper's going to drone it out. Hopefully after this happens, Sinister will very quickly take control and realize, okay, we might actually need some hard breach to open up an entrance into B.
Well, Fury have actually elected to barricade off the garage here from behind, so there really isn't much stopping Sinister from going up the garage stairs here, going for the default plan into CCTV. provided that Fury aren't holding it from below. It doesn't look like they really have much presence there either. So trying to read into the play of Fury here. I'm not exactly sure what they're planning on doing. They've reinforced the wall. Sometimes we'll see a rotate here. So that's to try and cover for this garage push. But Copper's going to open that straight away. And there will be a sound cue for Fury. But whether or not they'll have the processes and the utility in place to deny the plant, that's another question. And it looks like they have some holes on the connecting wall for some smoke grenades.
Yeah, and also Rock is now downstairs in lounge, just directly below the B-bomb site. He has an impact grenade. He can open a hole using that impact grenade and deal some damage onto the default plant spot. So I really would expect a player like Nico has to come downstairs and search for him. Rock is actually prepared for people to be pushing him downstairs. He has goo mines and he's just waiting. Really, Sinister have to clear him out. I like the ideas from Sinister, but this has taken so long. Copper's now going to rotate downstairs. He knows he has to push that player out. But there is a goo mine, as we mentioned earlier. He needs to find this kill. The impact grenade goes off, and Copper finds that essential kill. Nico jumps into it as well. But now the plant's being denied. Vicious does have the diffuser, and he wants to make it happen. It's a 3 versus 3, though. Last 12 seconds come out. Shade needs this C4 to make an impact. 3 versus 3 still, and Sinister aren't getting this diffuser down. Vicious starts it, but it's going to be all the numbers for Fury. He's just missed left, and he doesn't have enough to make it happen for his team. A nice idea for Sinister, but just too late.
The unconventional setup there from Fury paying dividends. Sinister seemingly unaware of how to really try and counter that. They were going for more of the traditional attack if there was someone in garage, but there wasn't. The wall was reinforced, and despite opening it, they didn't really have any ability to spearhead the site. They cleared below, but it was a little bit late, and then the main stairs, as well as they tried to push up, were covered. So Fury played that really well.
Yeah, honestly, I really feel like if Sinister had just checked garage at the start, realized it was clear, taken garage right at the start of the round, used their hard breach as they did near the end, open up that main wall, and then just waited, you know, cleared below as well, and just have one person go to deny lounge. Just wait. Fury has to use all of their gas babes, all of their smokes. You remove all Fury's information gathering, any Maestro cameras or anything else that they had on site, and then Fury is sitting there on the bomb site thinking they could be planting right now and we don't know. And so they're going to use all of their utility. Sinister would have had so much time to make that happen, but because that process of taking that ground and setting up for that execute took so long, Fury just threw a couple gas babes out, and then by the end of it, Sinister had absolutely no time left to make anything happen. That's when the desperate attempts come out for Sinister, and that's when Fury find all their frags at once.
Yeah, unfortunately for Sinister, the scoreline will now be evened out 4 apiece. So that advantage that they gained on the defense has been completely nullified. And Fury are looking for their third defensive round win in a row. We did see Sinister do that at the beginning of this match. They won their first 3 rounds. Whether or not Fury can replicate that, we will have to wait and see. But looks like Fury are trying to defend construction as opposed to cash.
I like the alibi pick as well, something that we did see come into the meta quite some time ago, especially on this bomb site here. Placing those alibi devices, those prismas, on these south-facing windows. Actually, they're not actually placing them on the south-facing windows. They're just placing them in the objective in places where the bottom of the prisma, the stand, can't be shot. I really like this setup. It's going to make it very difficult for Sinister to have any kind of presence from those south windows. And as you mentioned, this is a hard hold inside of construction. So even Shade trying to impact that construction wall. This is something I don't think I've ever seen before.
Yeah, this is going to be a big test of Sinister's adaptability. If they don't read into this play and work out a quick way to counter it, they could find themselves in a lot of trouble. I do like that they're opening the castle early to try and put some pressure on Fury. But they really need to try and clear out some of these plays with impact grenades. Otherwise, it's going to be so hard to get that wall open in towards Cash. Looks like Shade will just hold that position. If he stays alive, he can impact trick that wall, and things shouldn't be too hard. But he gets too aggressive on the plant there. Nico takes him out. Not sure why he would have peeked that. And now the rest of the Fury members are going to be under pressure, and that forces Golden back through Logi, and that hold that they had established has basically been taken away now.
Bit too twitchy for Shade, and losing that position, losing those impact grenades to deny that wall absolutely is a huge blow that Fury are going to have to choke up on right now. Sinister, once they drone this out, they'll know how much control they have of the map. They can rotate, open up Jacuzzi wall, and I mean, when Sinister were defending this bomb site, even after they lost Jacuzzi wall, they did well, but that was only because they had that control of the east side of the map now. Fury have completely forfeited that. And things aren't looking so great for Fury.
Yeah, 3 versus 5 in favor of SINISTER, who have begun to progress on towards the site. Rock's dropped off the board, and just like that, it's a 1 versus 5. Warden needs to do it all, but he can't do anything. SINISTER with a flawless round on their attack, and unlike their counterparts, they won't be able to take 3 rounds in a row.
That is a huge change here as well. You can't understate how much it makes a difference. SINISTER being able to break that momentum for Fury. SINISTER did get that early advantage by starting on the defensive side, racking up those 4 wins, and it looks like Fury were going to be able to do the same when they switched onto their defense. I thought this was still possible for a Fury win here, but now Fury are going to have to win 3 more rounds in a row to take this map outright, and that means that they're going to have to defend every single bomb site or all 3 bomb sites, major bomb sites, including the one that they just failed to defend. Now, SINISTER, not only do they have that momentum on the back of that previous round, but they've seen all of Fury's defensives now. And if Fury don't change much, it's going to not take very long for SINISTER to start overcoming the setups that Fury had.
Yeah, I think it would be difficult to overstate just how important that last round really was. It's going to set them up really nicely for the remainder of this map. Not only do they have that advantage, that round advantage, but as you mentioned, it's stuffs around with Fury's site rotations now. So puts them under the pump a little bit. Fury need to settle their minds and just lock down this basement defense. They were successful in their first attempt. They'll be looking to back that up. They held it quite traditionally the last time. Everyone was sort of turtling on the site to some extent. SINISTER took a really long time to push. So if Fury are able to push them back like they did in that round, I'm expecting them to be successful here and even up that scoreline.
A lot of hard breach denials being employed by Fury once again with the Cade. Not sure whether you can use it. Well, they could use that on the hatches if they wanted, or they could use it on that church wall. But another staple of Clubhouse basement defense is this tricking the hatches with impact grenades. Shade is going to be one of the ones to do that. He does still have both of his impact grenades. We also saw Golden, the player in Dirt last time, the Jaeger. He held on for quite a long time. Eventually, SINISTER did use their utility to remove all of the ADSs he had, but they didn't actually get that kill before he escaped.
Fury just finishing off the last of their setups, but Copper already trying to foil that. He'll open the hatch inside of stock and will probably make his way over towards bar. It has been electrified. Rock juggling it with the Electro Claw to put some doubt in the minds of SINISTER. That will probably force Miss now, who's currently droning, to come over and EMP the hatch. But it's definitely a juggling act. He'll need to time it right here.
And for those who don't really know the interactions here, if you throw 2 EMPs down, then there is no way that the Cade can trick it. So the Cade has to deploy, the second EMP is going to destroy it before it can, and that third EMP is not going to make any difference. What? Wait, what? Wait a second. Where was that from?
Is that
That was
Armory?
Warden all the way through the main stairs, through that hole in the wall. That is insane from Warden. I've never seen that before, but it doesn't work twice. And SINISTER do get that hatch open. What a play from Warden. I have never seen that before, but a nice play, a little bit of fanciness can do you something, but it doesn't do you everything. So Fury now 3 versus 4. Rock can find a cheeky kill with a C4 over the reinforcement, but SINISTER still have that numbers advantage.
Fury leaving nothing in the strat bank, but unfortunately it is a 3 versus 4 scenario now. A minute left on the board. Golden, though, getting quite aggressive there in blue. Could cut off the player coming down the stairs, and it looks like another one potentially going oil. No. So we're going to see one go down the blue stairs. Golden should have this one shut down, but he's not looking in the right direction. He gets the flick, but he just misses the shot. Luna lucky to scave away from that one, leaving it in a 2 versus 4. Shade will drop her eventually, and it's a 2 versus 3. Make that a 1 versus 3. Shade left with it all to do. SINISTER take round number 10. The flashiness of Fury, not quite enough to get them the round. They looked quite strong there for a little bit as they stalled them out, but SINISTER able to recover.
That was such a nice play from Warden. I really like that. Hats off to whoever it was from Fury who figured that out. Maybe they saw another team do it in the scrim, or maybe it was one of their players or coaches that spotted that, but I really like that. Really clever stuff, and you could see from the get-go they had invested a lot into that memorial, that Moto area, even a Jaeger device, which I thought that's a bit weird. You know, you don't usually invest so heavily in there. But at the end of the day, right, you can invest and have all these little tricks for one thing, but it doesn't make that much of an impact, right? Unless if you really play around it. And Sinister had these really good entries. They found a lot of picks and worked on the back of that, which put Fury down nice and swiftly. Now Sinister have guaranteed themselves a draw after losing 3-7 to Fury on Coastline. This is looking like a much better position to be in to escape relegation.
Sinister, one round away from taking the map and giving themselves a fighting chance of remaining in the ANZ Pro League. If they lose the map, it's looking very likely that they'll be demoted down to the Challenger League. Not exactly where they want to be.
And if they win this, then we have that three-way tie that I talked about before. Fury, Sinister, and Cryptic all sitting on 7 points going into their matches tomorrow against 3 of the best teams in the region. That'll be, man, that's going to be a sore point for all of these teams.
It could be. It could really come down to which one of these teams can pull off an upset, really.
We at the bottom of the Pro League standings, we have any of these 3 teams, Fury, Sinister, or Cryptic, could be the team relegated. And at the top of the standings, we have any 4 of the teams at the top could make it to APAC finals. And I had not expected that all of those results would come down to the final day of Pro League.
Can't ask for a much closer season than that. Season 10, of course. But Sinister, they're not too worried about the standings at the moment. They just want to take this round. They'll start progressing towards the main wall. Luna on the Zofia will play a critical role in helping to deny any sort of bandit juggle that could come out. But of course, Fury haven't brought the bandit. They haven't even brought a Cade. So there'll be no breach denial from the side of Fury. Instead, they're just going to allow Sinister to open this wall quite freely.
Yeah, and last round I really thought this was not an easy win, but totally a big opportunity for Sinister, as Fury are once again not holding Garage. I can't state that enough. You're not holding Garage at all on this bomb site. Take control of Garage. If Sinister take control of the Garage, they clear out downstairs in Lounge, they can open up directly into the B bomb site and have tons of time to bait out all of Fury's utility. Clear that downstairs area. You can see Sinister are worried this is a trap. It's like, we never get Garage for free. What is this? There's got to be some cheeky thing. So Copper's going to open up into Garage, and this is looking good, but they need to keep up this pace. 1:30 left is probably only just enough time to waste all of Fury's utility.
The wall will be opened successfully, just eclipsing the halfway point of the round. We did see Fury defend this same side in a very similar situation last time. Sinister had this wall open. They also had the main wall open, and yet they still weren't able to convert the round. So Sinister, they need to try and get in there, try and get towards default, get that plant down. Vicious is at the main wall. He's going to have to go for the run of his life through that crossfire to try and make that position. They need to cover those main stairs. Thatcher probably going to be assigned on that role, possibly Copper, who could be running the ACOG. So it's going to be all up to them to try and deny it. Vicious, rather it'll be Flick with the smoke to try and deny them entry, as Vicious will go for the pop flash and goes for a very interesting plant right on the main wall. This could work out. They don't know where he's planting the bomb. Fury are completely unaware of his position, but from below it gets denied. Rock impacts, then shoots, but the diffuser has, most importantly, been planted, and it's all up for the retake. It's a 2 versus 2. Luna and Nico need to try and cover this bomb. Luna on such a powerful rappel. Nico from below can easily deny. Luna gets 1 headshot, needs to try and get another here. As Golden tries to make his way in towards that CCTV room, aware of her position, but can't hit the shot. And Sinister will take map number 2.
And what a clever way to end it as well. I was harping on constantly about that default take that Sinister were just ignoring. At the end, they push on through, they set up perfectly for that default take, and then they move on and plant in the most unsuspecting location. What a game from Sinister, and we see both of these teams take the full 3 points for their maps.
Yeah, looking at the scoreboard there, poor Vicious on
Poor
the donut.
Vicious.
He got the win, but unfortunately for him, he didn't have the best of best of results.
He was plant boy, right?
Yeah, he was just, get the bomb, just go.
Yeah, get the diffuser, get it down. I mean, if he hadn't, that round, they would have lost. In fact, if he hadn't gotten that diffuser down exactly when he did, then they would have lost that round, because that the Plantanal came out from below. Yeah, I actually, when I saw the impact grenade come out, I thought, man, Sinister, you really should have dedicated an entire person to clearing out Lounge, because you didn't, and now you've lost the game. But no, they didn't, and they won it, and now it's 1-1. That's such a good position because now we have a 3-way tie. I'm so happy. And the admins, the League Ops admins who have to sort out who wins are not going to be happy because they hate tiebreakers.
Yeah, good luck with that. But it really does come down to tomorrow. There's nothing to stop one of these teams taking it up against one of the top dogs at the top of the standings, really.
No, I mean, and the three matches that we have tomorrow night, first up's going to be Wildcard versus Cryptic, and then Oddity versus Fury, and then Fnatic versus Sinister. And all of those teams, Cryptic, Fury, and Sinister, are tied on 7 points. They need to do everything they can to avoid that relegation spot. If you manage to get even one map off one of those top teams, Oddity, Wildcard, and Fnatic, you're doing well. I don't think most people are expecting any of these teams to get a map off those top dogs.
Yeah, it's really hard to think that they could get the win. Potential for the draw, as you mentioned, to try and just secure 1 point. It really could come down to one of these teams just eclipsing 7th by 1 point.
Yeah.
Like, it's that close.
And it also will come down to the head-to-head result between these teams. Like the tiebreaker is going to be messy because imagine if you had a tiebreak Sinister and Fury right now. You look at their head-to-head result and they won one map each.
Yep.
Yeah. Mind you, Fury would technically win the head-to-head because they won 7-4 and Sinister only won... Sorry, they won 7-3 and Sinister won 7-4. Yep. But it's so nitpicky.
Yeah, it's the finest of margins, really. Despite each map itself not being the closest of matches, those scorelines wouldn't be too reflective of a close matchup. Split across the two maps it was. I guess that's the beauty of sort of the ANZ format. You get the teams across two maps on the one day, and it really reflects sort of how they can carry that form across.
Exactly. And I mean, we constantly hear the players talk about how getting a chance to play more than just that one map against the same team on the same night really makes a huge impact on how they really love that about the ANZ format where we play 2 games at once instead of one at the start of the season, one at the end. But man, I cannot believe, like, this could not have been written better if you had scripted it, if we had all planned it out at the start of the season. The final Playday, tomorrow night, we have Wildcard, Oddity, and Fnatic, all with the possibility of fighting for their lives for those top 2 spots for APAC finals. And their opponents are Cryptic, Sinister, and Fury, all fighting for their lives to stay out of the Challenger League.
It's honestly unbelievable. I don't think ever in the ANZ region we've had it this tight and had these matchups be so impactful to one another. It's unbelievable, really. They're fighting for their lives.
Yeah, I love it. And I mean, it's funny. That's actually almost all of the teams in our league. Every team in our league is playing tomorrow night except for Mindfreak, who does have a chance of making APAC finals. Yeah, a very slim one. But if Fury and Cryptic win both of their games tomorrow night, then Mindfreak will go to APAC finals. And after Kings announced his retirement, that'd be an interesting moment. It's like, I'm retiring, guys. Oh, darn, we made APAC finals. Guess I'm coming out of retirement.
Yeah, well, I think Kings has probably sort of finalised that decision by now. Yeah. And look, the chances of Mindfreak actually making APAC land is
like Fury would have something to say to you about that one, hey? Yeah. I mean, Fury, it's so hard to make any kind of judgment because I feel like if you ride off and you say, nah, I'm in Wildcard, Oddity, and Fnatic, they're not going to have any troubles with their games tomorrow. That's when you start to eat your own words, right? You can't call it until you can call it. And we've had a lot of really close games tonight and even yesterday as well, despite Cryptic's performance against Mindfreak.
Yeah, so to say that the matchups tomorrow are going to be one-sided could potentially be a bit of a downfall because even some of these matchups, you'd go into it thinking, oh yeah, it could go one way, it could go the other, but they've been super, super, super close.
We haven't actually successfully predicted, I think, any of the matches this week.
We're just podcasting.
No, because, I mean, the Fnatic and Wildcard one, that was super close. We'd expected the Cryptic Mindfreak one to be close, and it wasn't. And we'd expected this to be a Sinister win. Despite the head-to-head victories favouring Fury. And, I mean, this match was super close as well. What have we got to say about Sinister and Fury? I know that the run's not over in the Pro League yet, but let's take Sinister, for example, just off winning that map. Are we happy with how they've improved over the season?
I don't think they'd be overly happy with sort of how the season has panned out. R6 Masters as well didn't quite go their way. I mean, there's glimpses of potential in their team. They play well at times. I mean, map 2 just displayed that. When they want to perform when, obviously they want to always win, but when they have the drive to win, they can. They have the systems in place. They have a good roster. There's nothing stopping them from taking it against these top teams. I think in reflection, they're not going to be stoked with the season. I mean, you can't be. You're finishing either, in the bottom 3. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they reckon. We've got Copper on the line for an interview. Hey, Copper, man, I just want to say, first up, I know it took you guys a while to warm up, but congrats on the win in the second game. I'm just going to dive straight into it. I noticed that you guys recently, you've started to change a lot of the team's play style. And to me, as an outsider, it looks like a lot of the things that you're doing, you're playing quite different. You, as an individual, you're moving away from some of the operators like Sledge, some of the really hardcore fragging roles, and you've played a lot of Hibana. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that came about and the state of the team at the moment in terms of play style?
Well, having Mistin, we kind of had to change a few operators around to kind of get him on it, like at least the jobs he's competent at. So with that, I kind of just on coast and club recently, I've just been feeling the Hibana. I feel comfortable on it, a little Shaiko-esque kind of gameplay because really great gun, just a great kit overall. So I love playing it and being aggressive with it. But like the team's play style, it's kind of being a little wishy-washy sometimes, depending if we're going to show up or not as well. Like it's very dependent on like comms and whether people are switched on, whether the entry is like actually happening, coordinated with each other, playing close together. But generally we try to be playing the same game. We try to carry over scrims, and sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
So are you saying that you maybe haven't changed very much in your recent times? In the last few months, you haven't really changed your playstyle? You're kind of sticking with your guns?
I'd say so. I'd say that we're like on attack, we're sticking to what we know, we're sticking to the roles we know, and on defense, we're just constantly evolving the strategies and just making it more comfortable for each player. So I wouldn't say there's any like big drastic changes, but everyone's just trying to be comfortable, trying to mesh together well.
Yeah, there's no denying there was a lot of pressure going into this matchup this evening. Is there anything in particular that you did to sort of alleviate that pressure? And then, of course, you lost the first map, so heading into the second map, was there anything that you did to sort of reset in between that break?
I mean, me personally, I went into my meditation state, a little lay back, deep breaths, just to get back concentrated, try to get that flow state. But generally, whenever we lose, it doesn't hit us too hard. We're always trying to like focus on the next map. And we kind of just tell ourselves, don't worry about it, just focus on the next one. Just keep trying to play how we want to play, stick to the game plan. Losing that first map was upsetting for sure. Like we didn't show up at all. Like it's basically us just starting off slow, really. And like I think we should have banned the buck, and that's my mistake for not banning the buck. But oh well. But overall, it was just like we can reset pretty easily and like not let the previous results affect us too much.
So you mentioned last week in our interview that this week you'd be playing with Mist instead of Fisher. Now, we were actually talking about Mist. We think Mist did actually a really good job tonight. So, I mean, hats off to Mist. But obviously, Fisher has been a mainstay of your team for a long time. You and Fisher a bit of a dynamic duo. What was it like coming into this week without him? And will he be playing tomorrow night in your match against Fnatic? And then tell us a bit about that match after.
So like bringing Mist on, the goal is just to get him comfortable and basically just make sure his comms are fine, because if that's fine, we can just play around it and just play our game. Today he showed up pretty fine, like he did his job. So I'm happy with his performance, happy with that. And yeah, we will be playing with him tomorrow because Fisher is still going to be out on his trip for university. So we'll see how that goes. We don't really expect great big results from it, but we're just going to play our game and see what happens. I think no matter win or lose with that, we should be fine point wise, because it's so tied up. But I think we win the head to head, so at least the point difference. So.
Yeah, it's true. It is tied up, then you will win the point difference, the head-to-head against Cryptic, but not Fury, so you will escape that relegation spot unless Cryptic gets some rounds and get some points off of Wildcard. Before we close out, is there anything you want to say out to anyone watching out there? It's been a long season to get to this point. You've had an org change as well during that time. Anything you want to say to the fans or to the org?
I mean, to anyone that's been sticking with us the whole time, I really respect that, because usually like it's super easy to stick around with teams that are staying at the top, that are best performing. You look up to them, you love them, but then when a team drops down, you're like, you start not paying attention to them. So like all the fans that have stuck around really respect it. Obviously, everyone's very thankful, and to the org, we're also very thankful. They've given us an opportunity. Sadly, we let them down this season. But overall, I'm keen to just keep playing, just get in there.
All right, well, good luck in your match tomorrow and into next season as well, Copper. Thanks for playing tonight.
Thank you very much.
I really like what he said about going into the Fnatic match tomorrow, and you're not going to think too hard about it. Just going to play their game. Honestly, I think that where we talked about Sinister in the past, about how that pressure can get to them, maybe that's the way to beat that, to dodge that bullet, especially when you're coming up against Fnatic.
Yeah, and I also liked what he said there about the mid-match meditation. Definitely something different. A couple of deep breaths, and it worked for them in the second map.
Yeah, it did. Maybe something we need to try between our casts as well. I wouldn't.
Maybe in our ranked games when you get a bit upset. Yeah.
Don't talk about the ranked games, please, guys. I mean, we're coming to the close of the season, right? And Copper said it himself, right? Sinister, they haven't had a great performance this season. It's taken some time. There's a bunch of fans that would have maybe stuck with him the whole time. Like, what's it like coming through that trajectory? Because it does feel like Sinister haven't quite performed like they have in previous seasons.
Yeah, that has to play on the back of their minds and can have a flow-on effect into their matches. If they have doubt in their mind and have that pressure of, oh, we've got this org, we have to perform. If we don't perform, what's going to happen in our future? What's our future going to look like? Like, if that compounds in the back of their minds, that can have a negative effect on how they play, and that's what they're trying to avoid by thinking about that stuff. So maybe they just need to meditate some more.
Yeah, exactly. Meditation sounds like the key.
Yeah.
But Sinister, they have had maybe not such a great performance in Pro League, but they did really well in Six Masters. They even 2-0'd Oddity when they were playing with their best lineup. They made it to LAN. Even though they didn't have a great performance at LAN, they have qualified for the next Six Masters 2020. I feel like there's still even if Sinister go down to Challenger League, and same for Fury, there is still a lot of long-term promise for these teams, especially with some of the way that the roster is looking, the way that they're playing. I have a lot of confidence in the future.
Yeah, it takes a long time for these things to develop. It's not an overnight thing. Quite often, it's not even a one-season wonder thing either. So if one of these teams does go down the Challenger League, hopefully they stick together. Yeah, hopefully they keep going strong, keep going on the grind, and hopefully they'll be back for a better season next time.
All right, well, that's Sinister. Let's have a chat to Warden from Team Fury. Hey, Warden, how are you going? Congratulations on the victory today. I know it might not have been everything you wanted. What was it like coming into the second last Playday and coming up against Sinister, who you've been neck and neck with coming into this point?
Pretty hyped. It's been definitely a long break, but we were pretty confident that we'd at least be able to get one map after our results at Masters. It's unfortunate we couldn't close out Clubhouse, but we just lost too many attack rounds.
I just want to get this out of the way real quick. So the Phantom Star operators are now actually available to be played in the Pro League. And why didn't we see any Warden?
We didn't find he was actually going to be that useful tonight. He's very awesome operator, definitely, but he's just not the specific sites.
There you go. Fair answer.
Well, Warden, I don't want to expose your strats too much, but on Clubhouse, we did see an interesting hold there inside of construction. Of course, without giving away too much, sort of what was the mindset behind it? We didn't see it be too successful in the end, but what was the thought process behind that one?
Was that the gym construction?
Yeah, you guys were defending bedroom, I believe. Yeah, and then you were holding construction as opposed to cash.
The whole point of that is for them to try push through con, and most it unfortunately didn't end up working out how we just do crossly and stuff and getting picked. But the whole idea is just to delay time with the shield placements in con and hope to bait them into the push.
So Warden, you yourself are one of the more experienced players on your team. You've played, I believe, every single season of the Pro League. You have a lot of LANs under your belt, more so than anyone else in this match today. But the team as a whole has been undergoing some roster changes. You switched out Spruce. Today you were playing as well with the sub, and I know that you also had Muesli in line to play with you guys who couldn't play due to him being currently not allowed to play in Pro League because of him disbanding power plays. So what's it look like for the future of Fury in terms of roster, in terms of how you guys are working together?
We're confident with our roster going into next season and stuff once will be available play. And we're kind of looking forward to it. We've been scrimming a lot with the main five, but we still have the rest of the PL season, so we kind of have to like balance them out between scrims.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us today, Warden, and congratulations on the victory. Good luck tomorrow night as well in your match against Oddity.
Thank you.
Sorry about the technical issues there. Obviously, a bit of a struggle with Warden there, but I mean, he's doing well. I think I liked what he said. They're very confident with their roster going into next season.
Yeah, that's obviously a big news story. Muesli, quite a strong player for power players. Unfortunately, they disbanded, as you mentioned, so he's ineligible to play for the remainder of this season. But if you can stay in here, he'll be ready and available, and he'll be a really strong asset.
And he'll be replacing Golden, who has been their sub playing as a core player for a really long time. So Flex is there to stay. A lot of experience on Flex, and I think that team's going to look good into next season. But where have these teams fallen after the matches today? Let's take a look at the standings. At the bottom, Sinister and Fury have now both jumped up over Cryptic. So I think that comes down to the round differential in all the matches between each other.
Yeah, so close at the moment. Sinister, Fury, and Cryptic will be fighting it out super hard tomorrow night. All three of them have very, very tough opponents, though. But I feel like if just one of them can salvage a draw, maybe even a win, they should be able to secure their position for the next season of Pro League.
Yeah, and Cryptic aren't out of this yet. They did actually win their match against Fury, so they may have the head-to-head victory. We'll have to double-check that one. But yeah, as you said, it is neck and neck between those bottom three. All of those three, Sinister, Fury, and Cryptic, have matches tomorrow night against the teams right at the top. Guys, we still don't know who's going to APAC finals. That first and second spot in the ANZ Pro League is such a highly coveted position, and it is not a given that Fnatic is going to get there.
Fnatic definitely may not get there. Mindfreak, Oddity, and even Wildcard all vying for that position. Mindfreak a little bit of an outlier at the moment. As you can see, they've played 12 matches as opposed to all the other teams that have played 10. So that boosts their score up a little bit, inflates it quite a bit. Oddity and Wildcard will both be trying to jump above them.
Yeah, and that's very much possible. Now, I haven't done all of the different possibilities, but I'm pretty sure that as long as Fnatic win one game tomorrow night, they are guaranteed to make it to the APAC finals. But if they lose both, then it's going to be up to Oddity and Wildcard to get those victories, to jump over Mindfreak and potentially even Fnatic as well. It's still on the cards. We could be seeing Fnatic and Mindfreak at the finals. We could be seeing Fnatic, Oddity. Like, there is so many different possibilities here. And I think Wildcard is a really strong story that we've been pushing recently with their new organization acquisition. It is totally possible that we will still see, despite them in fourth right now, Wildcard could go to APAC finals.
Yeah, we could potentially see Fnatic, Wildcard, the two powerhouses, qualify for that APAC LAN. It's basically been open slather, though. Teams like Oddity coming through, a bit of a dark horse this season. We know they did a lot of prep. They're in prime position, really, to qualify for an APAC final. And Raven and the boys, they'll be stoked with that.
Yeah, absolutely. The matches are tomorrow night, and those will qualify our teams for the APAC finals in mid-October. You can see on your screen now. Go to that link, and you can get the tickets to the APAC finals October 19th and 20th here in Sydney at the ESL studio, right here, downstairs and a little bit that way. That's where it's all going down. It's not only the best in ANZ as well, it's going to be the best teams out of Japan, South Korea, and Southeast Asia as well. So it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. We're at a point in the APAC Pro League as a whole where we don't have a guaranteed favorites. It's not a guarantee that Noah Rengo and Fnatic are going to go through. Both of those teams have had roster changes. We have so many up-and-comers. We have Cloud9, we have Aerowolf, hell, even a Wildcard. There's so many teams out there. CAG from Japan, so many teams that can actually make an impact.
Yeah, this has been such an exciting season, not only in ANZ, but in all the other sub-regions as well. As you mentioned, so often it's been very predictable. The same teams right at the top, same teams at the bottom. But this time, anyone can really go there. Any one of these teams in contention could make Japan, and that is going to be massive.
Yeah, there are rumblings down under, and we still don't know who's going to go to the Challenge League. We don't know who's going to APAC Finals. Tomorrow night, we have Wildcard versus Cryptic, followed by Oddity versus Fury, and Fnatic versus Sinister. You want to make sure that you tune in to find out who goes down at the bottom and who soars above the rest. That's all happening tomorrow night, but that's it for our matches tonight. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time here on the Rainbow Six channel. We'll catch you then.
10 seconds to go. Upon attackers recover the diffuser. 5 seconds remaining.